power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up.
Feels great to be 3-1 in front of the home crowd today. Got to keep it going. We got a short week on Thursday in Chicago. Got to get to 4-1. Let's go.
Let's ride. Touchdown, Buccaneers.
Evolution. Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs report. It's the Sports Lab. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live nightly on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, on this Victory Monday after the Bucs picked up their third win of the season. So without further ado, how do we start off the show? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we will have the 40-year sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Al Keck. 40 years of sports broadcasting experience, WTSP Channel 10, WFTS Channel 28, joining us to talk about this big Bucs victory. Fans out there, how do you feel about it? We'll definitely get your phone calls. We'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions. It's Sports Mag at 10:30. We'll have Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats, and at 11 o'clock, we will have Liam Mitchell, YouTube extraordinaire, of course, Fan to Fan Network on with us. And, of course, your phone call, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get him on, the Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend himself. A busy week in the Tampa Bay area with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the Stanley Cup, of course, the Rays starting out with the playoffs, and, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers picking up their third win and that comeback effort. Al Keck, welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com. How you doing tonight?
Well, Peter, I'm well. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Just got done celebrating a birthday. We're all celebrating a win here. And I tell you right now, just start out with the numbers here because they are phenomenal. 30 for 46, 369 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Of course, let's get that out of the way there because we know some Bucs fans out there won't be content unless we're a little bit negative. So we'll be a little bit negative. There was a pick 6 in this game, but there was 5 touchdowns by Tom Brady. Your thoughts on this performance by this offense, this whole team against the LA Chargers on Sunday?
Well, that was probably one of the worst first quarters I've seen in a long, long time. I just thought they played so poorly in all facets that I did not expect this team to, play that way in that first quarter. Now, I'm going to say something about the pick 6 that I'm sure other people have not said. But my honest feeling is this. Whatever playbook or whatever play is in the Buccaneer playbook that says throw an out to Justin Watson, they ought to take the page on that play, roll it up, put it in their mouth, swallow it, poop it out, and do it in a spot that is never, ever, ever. Because maybe it's me. But he's thrown how many pick 6s as a Buccaneer?
2.
On the same effing play.
Yes.
And my problem is not just with Brady, but if Mike Evans were to run that same pattern, I'm convinced that Mike Evans would do more to break up that play and make sure he was the one to catch the football. Now, that's Mike Evans. He's one of the best receivers in all of football. But I just don't see the boner with trying to get this play on the field. I'm over it, okay? And this isn't a win. And people are making, they're making a big deal out of the fact that, well, look, how is it Brady can continue to have, the pick 6s? I mean, we had that same thing with Jameis, and maybe it's me. I'm just expecting more. And I expect a receiver in a situation like that to put up more of an effort to break up that play. If not, 2 things. Number one, never throw an out to Justin Watson ever again. And number 2, get rid of the damn play.
Yeah. No, I agree.
They just have this. I mean, okay. I'm sorry. And here's the thing. This was a victory, and I was also frustrated by the long pass. Excuse me. that beat Sean Murphy Bunting. Okay. Excuse me, Peter. But at this point in the game, and with that particular blitz, Murphy Bunting had to know there's one thing you cannot do. You absolutely cannot do. And that's allow that receiver to get behind you because there is no one there. No one there. But the receiver for the Chargers just went straight down. And Murphy Bunting was totally out of his element. So those type of things bother me. Now they end up winning, by a fair, not a, huge score, but they ended up winning by more than I thought that they could win by, in the second half and certainly in the first half. But those things just really bother me. And I know those are things that hopefully young players have to grow up from, you know. And don't get me wrong, I think Justin Watson is a very good special teams player, you know. But I just think that there are better targets right now to throw to. And as far as Sean Murphy Bunting, he has improved immensely, and he has certainly shown over his last, you know, during his very young career that he has really moved into being a regular at that position for the Buccaneers. But those two things just drove me crazy. And then the suck up miss on the field goal. I mean, please. But as I say all this, I'm talking like they lost, you know, by 25 points, but they won to go to 3-1. And despite that, you know, I am not feeling real good about the Buccaneers going to Chicago. And I mean, do we really know what kind of lineup they're going to have? Can Mike Evans really be there other than a decoy? And if you're counting on a wide receiver group that also includes Justin Watson, you know, for any amount of play, I'm sorry, I have concerns. I really do.
Yeah, there's definitely some concerns. I thought, you know, the defense yesterday coming off that performance against Denver and also Carolina, which, you know, look, they're not great teams. Carolina's 2-2. You know, Denver got their first win versus the Jets of all teams, which they should have fired their coach, which Bill O'Brien got fired today from Houston. But that's neither here nor there. The defense didn't duplicate the effort. But what I've gotten out of this by, you know, going on Facebook, I see a lot of negativity. And then you look at Bruce Arians' comments from yesterday, and he goes, if our team would have had this, you know, type of game, we would have lost by 20. Do you agree with him? Do you feel like this team has definitely is changed from 2019 to 2020, or is it too soon to tell?
Well, I think he's absolutely right. You know, a year ago, if Tom Brady wasn't the quarterback, and by that I mean everything that Tom Brady brings, you know, I think leadership is kind of overblown, you know, but you have a certain energy, a certain aura, a certain kind of feeling that, and we've all had those kind of people that we've worked with, that whatever that business is, you know, you can count on that person to get you through a tough work shift, a tough day, you know, whatever. And Tom Brady is that person. Okay, let there be absolutely no doubt about that. So the fact that they have Tom Brady there, they're just not going to fold the tent like they could have in the past. And I think this team a year ago, I think Bruce is right. They would have lost by 20 points because when they came out about as flat, other than that opening drive. After that opening drive, they came out about as flat as you possibly can. And thank goodness for that turnover by the Chargers very late in the first half, because that was a wake-up call for this football team. And this football team truly needed it at this time. Now, I have a lot of respect for Blake Anthony. I want to know from Blake if he's seen the same thing that I did. So, Blake, if you get a chance, call in, because I want to ask you. If not, just go on your messenger, you know, here on the messenger. And because I want to know, Blake Anthony, in your mind, am I wrong here about Watson and expecting Watson to either run a better route or to do a little bit more as far as trying to make a catch is concerned on these outs? Because they've thrown it twice. 2 times it's brought a touchdown for the other team. And to me, you've got to take note of that kind of stuff. You know, this could have been week 16 with a division title on the line, and you pull that play out, and this happens then, you know, and maybe it's because I'm just getting caught up in the fact that it's, you know, early in the season and we're all, you know, have all of our opinions about this football team right now and what it's doing and how it's playing and
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's just that, but I had real problems with that. I had real problems with that particular play and Sean Murphy bunting, and I don't even need to say it, but what's his name? Donovan Smith on the offensive line.
Well, I tell you what, we got your answer here. Let's go out to Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. You're on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the sports web powered by 320solar.com. You've got an answer for the sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Alkett. Go for it.
Absolutely. You're looking for me. Here I go.
Okay. All right.
Well, Blake, I want to know, because I respect your opinion on this, and I know you watch things very closely. Could Justin Watson have done more on both of those routes that turned into pick sixes for the opposing team?
Absolutely. We'll start with the most recent because it's fresh on everybody's mind. So it's your job as a wide receiver to put your body in between the ball and the defender, because for one, you have an edge on the defender because you know what the route is. So when you run a half behind route and you're running, what are you running to the sideline for, Justin? You're going to run out of real estate. The ball's coming. Come back to the ball. Help your quarterback out. Grab the defender. Get offensive pass interference. Don't allow him to pick it off and then just watch him run past you for a touchdown. Same thing goes in New Orleans. The same route. Again, you know the route. Put yourself in a position to at least make it an incomplete rather than a pick six, because you have the advantage. You and the quarterback know what the play is. So you got to sharpen your route. He's had this problem since Jameis Winston. I put this on Twitter as well. I know you're not a big Twitter guy, but I put it on Twitter as well. The same plays that Justin Watson, even when the Winston era, were pick sixes because he runs half a route on out routes. It's like he knows he's not going to get the ball and doesn't put forth the effort.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's your answer right there, and I agree with that.
Thank you, Blake.
Out of your playbook.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you got to take it out of the playbook. I agree with both of you. And until Watson does run that complete route, and I kind of go back to this, with Watson last year, it wasn't all Jameis Winston's fault. We know that now with Watson, especially Watson, not running clean routes. And this is the kind of details, Al and Blake, you have to pay attention to. This is what separates the good from the great from the best.
Yeah.
Well, and here's my point. Justin Watson may be an excellent special teams player, and Justin Watson may show things in practice that show, he needs to be a part of this, not just his football team, but a part of this rotation, But if that thing happens twice in one season and twice in 4 games, that's got to tell a coaching staff this play just ain't going to work. And we're not taking that chance again with a play like that. Now, I think later in the game, or maybe it was even earlier, I'm not sure, but he made a nice catch over the middle, made a good gain on that, and it was a big play. If that's the case, let's try to put Justin Watson in a position to where he's making catches over the middle, not outs on the sideline that could turn very easily into a pick six the other way.
Makes lots of sense. All right, Blake, what else?
No, I have to agree with Al. Put him in better position. Maybe he's not an outside the numbers receiver like Al's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's more inside the numbers guys, curl routes and drag routes, something simple that doesn't have to rely on him running proper routes to put his quarterback in better position to not throw a pick six. Because just like Al said, you having all these pick sixes, but the same denominator is the same, and his name is JW17, Justin Watson. so clearly, it's not all. It couldn't have been all Winston, like you said, because you're having the same issue with the same guy with a Hall of Fame quarterback. So now you have to go. So we beat up on Justin Watson already. So he's got his fair verbal beating. So who do we go to next?
Well, somebody says
Byron Leftwich.
Well, Simon. Somebody says Brandon Virgil Senior says Mike Evans also runs a half routes at times. Do you guys agree with that?
I don't see pick sixes coming on his end, but
I mean, I've seen him giving up. I've seen him give up on some routes, but he's one of the top wide receivers in the league, and he doesn't do it all the time. He does it some of the time, and still you have to clean that stuff up, and that's not going to be one of those things that Brady or this team is going to put up with. You can't do it once again if you want to be one of the elite teams in the league. You just can't. So,
Well, Brady makes it very clear he's not going to put up with that stuff.
right.
I just, for me personally, I hope the message is out now. You're not going to throw it out to Justin Watson. There's just absolutely no reason to do that. And again, I'm not trying to beat up on the kid. He's a young player. But, what you've shown me, especially in 2 games this season, is that it's just not smart to put you in that position and call that play. And more importantly, put your quarterback in that position. Because not that blame game means anything at this point, but the guy that's going to get blamed is your quarterback.
Sure.
And they're going to yell, scream, and whatever. Not that makes any difference to Tom Brady, but it does to me, because I can't stand watching stupid football. And to me, when you throw 2 outs to the same receiver that does exactly the same thing, and the result is exactly the same thing, a pick six the other way, then what is so hard and so difficult to figure out to take that play and chuck it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. There's nothing I can say, but I agree with you. The Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend has spoken here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, Blake, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you, all right?
No problem, guys.
All right, there you go. Good
Thank you, Blake. Thank
Open
you.
phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Al Keck. Let's go out to the phone lines. Mr. Matt Colson, welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind tonight?
How you doing, man? You're looking pretty sharp with that big 4K camera thing going on.
I know it's my birthday. Came a little bit early, so we got the camera. This is a 4K camera. So now Peter Blake Studios has a 4K camera with all the fixings. So I think it looks pretty good.
Now you just need the scantily dressed weather girl, and we'd be set, man.
Well, yeah,
That's what we need.
Exactly, Matt. Exactly. That's what we want to do. We want to take your mind off of a winning Bucs game against the Chargers. That's what we want to do.
You could never cuss out Justin Watson, if you had Pam Anderson doing the weather report.
Jeez.
That's just all I'm saying. And I don't know where I came up with that.
I have no idea
pulled out of my
either
ear.
where
I need
you
to
went
stop.
to. This is where you need to go, right here. All right, Matt, what's on your
All right,
mind?
well,
You're on with the
here-
Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend.
Well, I agree with Al, and I agree with Blake.
Mm-hmm.
And Blake said it, and you guys didn't really catch the point or didn't expand on it. But it's Byron Leftwich. That's the guy. If you're going through the film study like Al did in his living room,
Mm-hmm.
you see this play doesn't work, you don't call it anymore. It's not like Brady doesn't have 16,000 other plays that you could toss his way
Sure.
that would do better. And if you're seeing that this is an issue with that one particular receiver, then you can't put him in that situation. Neither one of them, the quarterback or the receiver. It's just not a wise idea. Now, conversely, you got Scotty Miller, who's coming out of nowhere, and he's starting to look like, he's going to be a Hall of Famer at the rate he's going this past couple of weeks. You got that one working. So lean to the good side and get away from the bad. I agree with Al. Chuck it, put it in the shredder, catch it on fire, and forget it ever happened.
Besides the outplay, Matt, are you pretty happy with the play calling by Byron Leftwich? Are you happy with this offense and how they've progressively gotten better since the Saints game?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you something I said yesterday. I don't know if I said it on your post game show or on Cheap Seats.
Okay.
But the team came out dressed in alarm clock uniforms and they were playing like Jameis Winston. And then they came in after the second half, and Brady just decided we're not having this nonsense. We're going to win.
Right.
And he put it on his back, which Jameis could never have done. I don't care how many people are going to hate on me for that. They'll fill up the message board. Jameis didn't have that DNA to do what Brady did yesterday and come back with 5 touchdowns. It just couldn't happen. He would have had 3 touchdowns, a field goal, and a pick six going the other way to end the game. That's how it would have worked out. We saw it 100,000 times. And Brady just doesn't do that. And he doesn't let the other parts of the team, the other cogs in the wheel, get defeated in their mind. They're going to win. That's something you see with Pat Mahomes. They're playing crap through the whole first half of that game that was on tonight. And it was 6-3 or something like that. Mahomes didn't score anything, but he's never quitting. He's talking. He's chopping up the sidelines. He's working.
Sure.
And
do you
that's a
think? Do
positive
you
work
think
ethic.
Al and Matt, especially to you here? Hold on to Matt. Al, do you think these comments were directed at Jameis Winston? Is he throwing some shade at Winston from last year, in your opinion?
Who's that?
Bruce Arians.
Who's throwing shade?
Bruce Arians to Jameis.
Oh, by saying, this team would not have, a year ago, this team would have lost by 20 points. Is that the comment you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think that. I think this team is a year older, a year smarter. And then when you have a person like that, like a Tom Brady, this is why you want a Tom Brady, that he just kind of, everyone jumps aboard him. And again, this isn't a knock on Jameis Winston, because they would have lost this game by 20 points if Matt Stafford had been the quarterback of this football team, yesterday. If, just fill in the blank, a lot of these guys would have been the quarterback of this football team. That's not a knock on Jameis Winston, but that's one of the reasons why you want Tom Brady. And people have made so much out of the fact that he's had 2 pick sixes in X amount of games or whatever it is. Bottom line, Tom Brady threw 5 touchdown passes yesterday,
Right,
to 5 different receivers.
right.
Okay. And that pick six, to me, again, and I'm saying to me, and that's why I asked for Blake Anthony's opinion, because I so respect Blake Anthony's opinion. But to me, that one wasn't completely on Tom Brady. And, obviously I thought Justin Watson should have done more. And I think Byron Leftwich made a mistake by even calling the damn play. So, who knows? Maybe Tom checked out of it to that play. I'm not sure. I haven't looked that closely. But I will, and I will check it out and look and see. But that play just really bothered me. And Bruce is right. Last year's team would have lost by 20 points because it all would have built from there. And I think Matt's right too. Instead of seeing the 5 touchdown passes, I think we would have seen 3 touchdown passes. And then as the Bucs are trying to come back, maybe they just take that lead or whatever, and they're getting they're getting a chance to salt the game away. Then you'd see another pick six. So, I'm not thinking so much about this game, because quite honestly, with the way everything's going right now in the National Football League, if the Bucs end up 2-2 after this game, I'd have to feel like, oh man, they gave this one away. I don't think they gave away the New Orleans game. I think they were just beaten in that game.
Right.
But what we've learned from San Francisco last year is that you beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And if you do that, chances are you will go on a roll that'll take you maybe to a division title and most definitely to the playoffs. And then once you get there, then anything can happen. But these are the type of mistakes that you absolutely cannot make, just like Murphy bunting and letting that guy get behind him. So, and Donovan Smith had his problems yesterday, even though the Buccaneers did not give up a sack.
Yeah.
Brady was under pressure, and there were some problems in the run game that shouldn't have happened. So even though Ronald Jones ran for over 100 yards,
Yeah, there were a
They
lot of
did most of
positive
that off
things.
the right.
Right. There are a lot of positive things you could take out of this game. I mean, the offensive line not giving up sacks, but like you said, there was definitely pressure there, although you didn't really hear from Joey Bosa. A credit to the offensive line, namely a Tristan Wirfs. And you're exactly right, a victim of volume, which I call him here on this show. Ronald Jones goes for over 100 yards. So there were a lot of positive things. There's still things that need to be worked on. And Philip Schwagler mentions this, our editor-in-chief of Bucs Report. He thinks they were talking about the defense. If you really think about it, guys, they were getting their doors blown off in that first half, and they made some
Yes, they were.
adjustments. And even though they did give up a big play, basically, how many points did you give up in that second half? A touchdown. That's it. So if your defense doesn't keep you into the game, then your offense basically is not going to be able to do it. So it comes down to defenses making stops, getting more pressure on that quarterback. And then at the end of the day, also, that other team gets paid. Justin Herbert has played out of his mind and nearly went for 300 yards once again. And the Chargers had a good game plan. I just didn't like the play call before the half. Why not just nail on it if you're up 24-7? And thank God they didn't, because that really put the Bucs back into the game, gave them momentum, and that carried on into the second half. What else, Matt?
Well, it didn't hurt that they lost their number one running back over in the Chargers side.
Well, sure.
That
Eckler.
affected the outcome of the game. I'm not going to say that we wouldn't have won, but I don't think we would have. Well, I just don't.
I think there were moments in this
out.
game where the offensive line, which was missing two starters, was more dominant than this defensive line. And you could be right, but I don't think there's a running back that's going to go for 100 yards this year, knock on wood, against this defense, especially if they're playing their game. But just like Al said, the defense didn't have a good effort yesterday. They came out flat. But the thing is, like Blake has said, and like everybody always says, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. What else, Matt?
Let me ask you about Thursday night. Now that we've got this ER wing over here at one Bucs place with all these injuries,
right?
Who are we going to start on Thursday? I mean, that's a 4-day work week. So you're looking at Mike Evans with, I don't know what came out today with that, but it looked like he had a pretty bad twisted ankle.
Well,
and then you had
according to Pro Football Talk, I give it to you. They listed Mike Evans' ankle, running back Leonard Fournette, receiver Chris Godwin, tight end OJ Howard, who's out for the year with a ruptured Achilles. LaShawn McCoy has a grade 2 sprained ankle, so most likely he's going to miss. So we'll have to absolutely see how this all works out. But
you just named off the top 5 players on the field,
right?
Other than Brady,
right? I mean, you hope that Evans plays because you see how much of an impact he makes. You can't be without Evans and Chris Godwin and expect your offense to go, especially Al, if you're depending on guys like Justin Watson and even Scotty Miller, who's played well, but still you want to have those guys. And then losing OJ Howard. Plus, you have a defense who has Khalil Mack, and they're definitely going to be a tough customer on Thursday night, and you're playing on a short week. So you definitely want to make sure everybody's healthy. But I kind of think Evans is going to play. Fournette may play. And then after that, you're going to really have to depend on a Scotty Miller, even a Justin Watson, maybe a Tyler Johnson, and hopefully you get that running game going. But it's going to come down to, once again, as always, protecting Tom Brady's blind side with Donovan Smith, because Khalil Mack awaits.
Here's what I would say. Here is the one guy that you're now going to call upon to make some plays, and that's Gronk.
Yeah.
Now you're really going to see what can Gronk do, what can Gronk bring. You know, I'm not sure what Evans can do other than, I mean, if he does suit up, and I know he played most of that second half with an injury with the bad ankle, and it looked like, and again, I am not a doctor, but it looked like he also jammed his big toe, and I could be wrong there, but that could be even more difficult for him as far as cutting and getting off the line and making moves and that type of stuff. If he plays, you know, he may be nothing more than a decoy. I don't know, but when you look at everything right now, you got no Godwin, and you've got no OJ Howard. So you've got to get Gronk involved and just see what happens. Thank goodness you've got Keyshawn Vaughn, who is showing more and more. And I think, you will see Keyshawn Vaughn involved more in this offense. And he's just got, even in the few times that he played, to me anyway, compared to what we saw very early in the game with LaShawn McCoy, Vaughn looked so much quicker, looked like he had so much more burst than what McCoy showed. So I think you're going to see more Vaughn. I think you're going to see more Gronk, and and maybe Scotty Miller. But as we say this, believe me, no one will know that more than us, and that being the Chicago Bears, because they're going to know all of that absolutely as well.
No, absolutely. And I tell you right now, if they can get through these injuries, you have 10 days of break, and then you have to face the Green Bay Packers. So once again, you want to stay as healthy as possible, but you also want to try to win this game versus the Bears, even on a short week. And the Bears are the same way. Khalil Mack has been limited in every practice, has not had a full practice this year because he's had a knee injury. So we'll see what the impact of that is. Matt, thanks a lot for calling. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons. Good call, as always.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Yep, thanks a lot for calling the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Outkick. Let's go out to the webheads. Brady. Jeremiah says, hey, everyone. Absolutely. Christopher Cole. Hey, guys, let's go Bucs. Blake Anthony says, tell him how I posted this, the same play for the Bucs in 2019. That is an old score, but it was 13-10 KC up, and now it's 26-10 KC over the New England Patriots with a pick six from Brian Hoyer. Al, SMB got on the missing on a milk carton for the week because he gave up 2 touchdown passes. Shout out to the O-line, no sacks. You cannot rely on Watson to run crisp routes. He runs it like he knows he's not gonna get the ball. Johnny Dean Watson has never ran a clean route. We read that comment. Let's go out to Johnny Dean. Johnny Dean, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with the Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend Al Keck, powered by 320solar.com. Go for it.
Yeah, well, since KC's icing this game over the Patriots right now, I guess I'll put in my 2 cents on the Thursday night game. If
Sure.
that's all right.
Sure, absolutely. We're on to that. I mean, you could talk about the Chargers game if you like. Whatever you want to talk about, Bucs related or NFL related.
Okay. I on Rick's show the other night, I said that we were going to lose this game by 3 points in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I hold firm with that. But I do think there's a better possibility of actually pulling it off if we go with the run heavy game, use Tanner Hudson, and we'll go to sleep on Tanner Hudson. They're talking about, oh, we don't have any tight end. Yeah, Tanner Hudson can play, man. Tanner Hudson can get out there and play.
Well, I'm not giving up on Cameron
Gronk.
Brate. I think Brate is going to most likely step in here because Howard is out for the year. So Brate caught a touchdown yesterday. I think they're going to try to get him more involved. And remember here, Johnny Dean, Brady just missed Gronk by just a little bit. He had him right in the seam. It's not like Gronk couldn't beat his man. Brady just outshot him just a little bit.
Right. Well, I'm talking about a tight end that's going to step for wide receivers because our receivers are out. You know what I mean? And Tanner Hudson is more of a wide receiver tight end type player. That's why he's not seeing any time playing, because he can't block.
Right. Right, exactly. He can't block. So does he become a liability? I mean, that's the thing you have to worry about with losing a Howard. I think Howard was starting to get it with the blocking and starting to learn from a Gronk. Now you go to a Tanner Hudson, and even though he can, from what we saw in the preseason, because he really hasn't seen that much regular season time, he could definitely catch the football, and he's going to have to consistently for this team, and he may be counted on because of Howard's loss.
Well, when I say can't block, I put him on about the same level as Howard in blocking, but
no, I think Howard's a little bit better than that, but just saying.
We'll see. But anyhow, I think it's going to be a run heavy game.
Okay.
Both sides. The Bears defense, though, man. Our defense is great, but the Bears defense can get to our weaknesses a lot easier, I think. But with Khalil Mack coming off the edge there,
sure,
and that The secondary, I'm not so sure of. I watched them have great games, and then I turn around and turn the Bears on, and I watch the secondary just fall apart. So it's so evenly matched to me right now with our injuries.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you.
Injuries,
I don't think it's evenly matched because I think you got one component that Chicago doesn't necessarily have, and I get it. Nick Foles has won a Super Bowl MVP. You've got Tom Brady. You've got an opportunity to win games. You just do.
I agree, and that's why I think we'll stay in the game, honestly. But with our injuries, the matchups. You got to look at the matchups, man. And the matchups aren't in favor of us right now.
Well, it may be an opportunity for these tight ends to step up.
And they're a one-dimensional team too, but it's our run versus their run is what it's going to be. Two defenses and run game. It's old school football. I'm kind of excited about it myself.
It's going to be a low-scoring game most likely because both of these teams are banged up, especially the Bucs.
And Blake Anthony, chime in there. What do you think about Tanner Hudson starting? You think you're going to see a different player out there?
Well, I tell you what, Al, what do you think about Tanner Hudson being counted on for this team? I mean, we saw Cameron Brate catch a touchdown yesterday. We haven't really seen a lot of them, and now most likely they're going to depend on him and Tanner Hudson because they lost O.J. Howard for the season. Your thoughts?
Well, I think if you're counting on a Tanner Hudson in order to pull out a Thursday night win in Chicago, you're pretty desperate. I'm not sure the Buccaneers are there. That's not to say that Tanner Hudson can't get the job done. I just don't see him doing it consistently over an entire game. Now, there may be some moments when he makes some plays, but I think the Buccaneers have enough weapons to be able to pull this off without a regular dose of Tanner Hudson. And if they can't, then they don't deserve to be in the spot that they are, sitting alone atop the NFC South. So, maybe that's just me. So we'll see. But that's not to say that Tanner Hudson couldn't make a key play or do some key things at some point during the game. I'm sure he can, But if you're going into that game saying, Tanner Hudson's my guy, I just, if that's the case, take the night off.
Hey, Al, that's Blake Anthony's guy.
Well, I mean, Blake Anthony knows a lot more than I do. I will say that. But, to me, again, with all the other weapons they have on this football team, I think that there are, and it may be, again, like I said, you don't think the Bears are going to key on whichever receiver out there is going to be able to play. You don't think that they're going to key on Scotty Miller, and you don't think they're going to key on Gronk, and you don't think that, they know that this may come down to a run, heavy game, and that their defense has to stack up against the run. I mean, do you put 8 in the box against Tom Brady? I don't think you do.
Nope.
Because I think no matter who you have out there, if it's Tom Brady, he's going to find an open guy.
Yeah, that's what it comes to.
But are those open guys? All right, we got Scotty Miller, Justin Watson, and Tyler Johnson.
Well, I'm not saying I think Mike Evans.
Are those going to be his targets?
Well,
are you going to overly worry about those targets?
I don't. I think Mike Evans plays in this game. I think he does. I think he'll play in this game for some reason. I think. I think Johnny. I think your huge advantage there goes to Tom Brady in that he will find the open guy. And my point was about Tanner Hudson is not that he can't play or he can't do this or whatever. I'm just saying a steady diet of Tanner Hudson, if that's what you're counting on in order to win this game, I just don't think will happen. I would hope
anything but the run game. I think honestly, I'm talking
could
about
very well. I mean, I agree with you there. And I think getting Keyshawn Vaughn more involved and catching the ball coming out of the backfield. And again, even though Ronald, maybe it's just me. I'm saying that a lot. Maybe it's just me, but Ronald Jones, even though he ran for a career high and had over 100 yards. Did he do anything yesterday for you to say that's the number one running back?
Well, I think it comes down to
because he still makes way too many mistakes.
Well, I agree with you on the dropping the passes, Al, but at the end of the day, if you're running back by rotation, let's see, Fournette comes back against the Chicago Bears and he has the hot hand, then you run with him. The Bucs have a good problem. You're exactly right. He has to improve on his catching ability because there were way too many drop passes yesterday. But once again, once you open up a little hole for him and he can get through it and get to that second or third level, he's special. He really is. So I'm not ready to say he's the number one running back, although I've said before he's a victim of volume. And lo and behold, when you give him 20 carries or more, he puts over 100 yards. So I'm willing to take my chances with him. Of course, once again, he has things he has to work on. And then with McCoy, most likely out of this game, you're going to have to depend on a Keyshawn Vaughn. And when you depended on him as a rookie, he looked pretty good.
Well, Keyshawn Vaughn showed me a lot more yesterday than we've seen from LaShawn McCoy at all. And I know Vaughn played more yesterday than we've seen a lot of LaShawn McCoy. I get that. But to me, Keyshawn Vaughn, really showed why they drafted him when they did. And I mean, because I hadn't seen him no one had.
Mm-hmm.
I really hadn't seen him in action until yesterday. And now I understand. And I think he could be throughout this season, really a key player for this football team.
All right, Johnny, what else?
Yeah, I was talking about Keyshawn Vaughn too. I think that's the guy that I'm not comparing him to Marshall Faulk, but the only way I can get my point across is to say I see a lot of Marshall Faulk attributes in Keyshawn Vaughn, and I think that he can fill that position really well if he looks as good as I think he's going to look. And as far as what Al said about Ronald Jones, I'm 100% right there with you. Ronald Jones doesn't scare defenses. And that's my point. He doesn't scare defenses.
Do you know who Ronald Jones scares? The Buccaneer coaching staff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you all later.
All right. Appreciate you, Johnny Dean. Again, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the great Al Keck here. Let's go back out to the Webheads. That's what I said last night. The secondary has regressed. Is that fair that the secondary has regressed? Or once again, are we just jumping to conclusions like a knee-jerk reaction? A defense can have a bad day. I'm not necessarily sure here, Chillwell, that the secondary has regressed. I just think they had a bad game. Is that fair, Al?
Oh, I think that's fair. And again, with Sean Murphy bunting on that big play and the touchdown in the second half, I believe. What bothered me about that play was that Sean Murphy bunting, who played well at the end of last year and has played well this year until I think this game. He knows on that play, there's one thing that he cannot afford to do. He just cannot afford to let that wide receiver get behind him. And that receiver went right by him with no problems at all. I mean, to me, if he's starting to show that he's going to get the advantage on me, I pull him down. Because it was obvious what was going to happen. But when you blitz as much as they blitz and do the different things that they do, here's my biggest takeaway from this game yesterday was this. Justin Herbert is a hell of a quarterback.
Yes.
And I think he's better than the guy that was taken number one. I can't see Tua doing much better than that, and I just think because he's had 3 games where he's had to step in, and the first game against Kansas City, he finds out minutes before the game he's got to play.
Yeah.
This is the second game of the season. There are no preseason games. There are no OTAs. There's been training camp, and that's it. I'll tell you what. I'd take Justin Herbert in a heartbeat. He is downright impressive.
Yeah.
And he carved up that Buccaneer defense at times yesterday and didn't do it with little dink and dunks and all that kind of stuff. He went right at him and he went right down the field and he had big time success. That moment was not too big for him. It was not too big for him. And that kid's good.
Yeah, that kid is going to be really good. And if the Chargers switch back to Tyrod Taylor, they're making a mistake. You look at his numbers yesterday, 20 for 25, 290, nearly threw for 300, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And you expect that from a rookie. But I think I was most disappointed not only by the secondary, but also the pass rush. Shaq Barrett had a sack yesterday, but not as much of pressure on Herbert in the first half. In the second half, it kind of turned around. So give credit to where credit is due. Even though, once again, the Chargers were missing 2 offensive linemen, they had a game plan, and they definitely blocked a lot better on that defensive line than some teams here the last 2 games have done. So I think that's what I was.
Hey, he put up big numbers. He put up big numbers against what most consider to be a top 8 defense in the National Football League, if not higher.
Yeah.
So that kid can flat out play. And I can't see a whole lot of these other kids that have come out the last couple of years that has played better than this kid in his first 3 games in the National Football League.
Yeah, I'm impressed. And even just consider it, Al, that he didn't have those reps. He didn't have training camp. Can you imagine if he had training camp and those preseason game situations? Most likely he would be performing even better. Let's go out to Blake Anthony. Tyler Johnson needs a foot up his ass and take over for Watson. Richard says, where is Tyler Johnson? Philip says, laugh out loud, always with this Jameis Winston crap. Brandon says, Jameis had the same pick sixes, not the quarterback most times on those out routes. Our wideouts have to do better. I agree with that. Hoyer just threw a pick 6 again. Kansas City expands the lead 26-10, but that's a little bit older. Arian was talking about the defense. Absolutely special shout out to the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol. Why is Newton not playing? If you didn't know that, he tested positive for COVID. Joe Will says, give McCoy snaps to Vaughn. Certainly a possibility. Best Virtual Edits video says, yeah. Yash says, Rays are up 3-2 over the Yankees. In my experience, Al, everyone plays banged up, but you have to find a way. Mike Evans has a bonehead on the field fights, but that same energy allows him to fight through those injuries. Release the Kraken, a.k.a. Tanner Hudson. Hoyer just threw another pick, 3:18 left in the game. KC's ball. I have the Bears D and the offense broken down by Thursday at 3 p.m. for the winning angle. What matchups don't match up? Go Rays, home run now, 3-3, I guess. It's tied. Tanner Hudson has speed and hands. I agree. Al Hudson isn't the main star in the game. I see him contributing and has reliable hands. Definitely get on the phone line. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Yankees up now 4-3 as that is changing. Top of the 5th. Blake Anthony, the part that pisses me off about Ronald Jones is that you cannot line him up at wide receiver against a slow linebacker and be confident he will catch a deep pass with his unreliable hands. Christopher Cole, anyone think Belichick didn't want Cam Newton to play against KC, so they didn't get tape on him? Am I wrong or what? I don't necessarily think they would go to those type of things. He wouldn't say that Cam Newton has COVID in order to hide tape from Kansas City. Would he, Al?
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I know, I get what you're saying, Christopher, with the injury situation, but he has COVID, that whole situation. What are your thoughts about that situation, getting off the Bucs? Did the NFL do the right thing by playing this game tonight, or should they have postponed it to give the fans the opportunity to see a Cam Newton versus a Kansas City defense? And what are your thoughts about Tennessee and all the positives that have happened in that situation this week?
Well, let's go to the opening week of Major League Baseball. Okay, the Miami Marlins, if there was any team that didn't look like they were going to make the playoffs despite a fast start and all the problems with COVID, it was the Miami Marlins. And remember, baseball and football are the only two teams that are not, are not in a bubble or are not playing the regular season in a bubble. They're now playing the playoffs in a bubble in the American League and in the National League. But, I remember when the Marlins were going through the situation they did in that opening week. I mean, the media, just the MIT graduates at ESPN couldn't say fast enough, the baseball season's over. This baseball season is going to be over. There are going to be positives, and there are going to be teams that take, major positive tests and have to try to figure out what they're going to do. Let's get very clear on this, and the National Football League has shown this. The National Football League is going to play this season, either with you or without you. There will be a Super Bowl, whether they go, I don't know how many games, but the National Football League will figure out a way to have a credible regular season and a credible playoff, and they will have a Super Bowl in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium, and they're not going to let all this other stuff beat them. Now, all it takes, and this is where veterans come in, all it takes is one dumbass on any given team to say, you know what, I'm not going to play that much, in this game, if at all. I'm hacked off at my position coach. I don't even think they're noticing me. I'm going to go have dinner. I'm going to go have drinks with my buddies, or go someplace, or they don't even have to go someplace. They could just be in the wrong place at the wrong time, test positive, and then who knows what can happen from there. But the real veterans in the National Football League are making sure that these guys don't do that kind of stuff. And I don't know what happened in Tennessee. I know there's been talk that maybe Tennessee was careless. I don't know. Who knows? But, we know what the game of football is. It ain't a game of social distancing. Now, there have been times when the Buccaneer defense played a game of social distancing, but it hasn't been this year. It's been previous years, except for a couple of plays on Sunday.
Right.
But you have veterans on this team that will make sure or do everything within their power to let people know you will do things the right way. If you don't, you're not going to be getting a check from this team, and you're not going to be messing with my check. And so that's what it's looking like. And the team that can stay away from this, that will be so important in this entire season. So we'll see.
Speaking of not getting a check anymore here, Al, Bill O'Brien being fired, are you surprised by that?
I'm surprised it's lasted this long. He's also, played some general manager, and a lot of people feel that it's been his moves as a general manager that's hurt this football team more than his coaching. So, he's taken Houston to several division titles. But they're at 0-4, and it doesn't look like they're anywhere near ready to turn things around. And so he becomes a fall guy 4 games in, which is a little quick for me. I'm a little surprised that, he was the first to go, and that the guy in New York for the New York Jets didn't go sooner.
Yeah, Adam Gase is terrible. I don't know how he's not fired yet. I tell you what's not terrible. It's the Al Keck Show, which is on here exclusively at 9 o'clock tomorrow night here on Bucs Report. What do you got coming up tomorrow night on the Al Keck Show?
Fun interview. Really fun interview that I don't care about the rest of you. All I care about is me. This was an interview that was totally for me. And it was with Jack Thompson, the throwing Samoan. and we have a really fun interview and asking him about a lot of different things. And he has some very good opinions about things. He knows that he didn't have the greatest of careers with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I go back to 1973 with Jack.
Mm.
So, you know, my very first job as I'm going to college, working for a newspaper, and I covered a bunch of his games as both a junior and a senior. And he was one of the top recruits in the Northwest. And I went to school with him. I went to college with him. So I've been around Jack forever. So it was a rare opportunity. We don't get a chance to talk as much as I would like, but it was a wonderful time for us to kind of reminisce and talk about things. And I just picked his brain about a lot of different things. And he admits his time in Tampa was difficult. And he admits that a lot of it had to do was with the way the Buccaneers handled number 12, Doug Williams. And he was thrown into a situation that this team just wasn't ready for all the craziness that was coming down. And he admits he kind of got caught in the middle of this. So it was a very good conversation. And he's a guy that he's a class act, known him forever, and thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. I'll have him tomorrow night.
All right, there you go. That's the Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend. 40 years of sports broadcasting experience, WTSP Channel 10, WFTS Channel 28. Thanks a lot for coming on the evolution of sports talk television, all right?
All right, Peter, thank you.
All right, see you tomorrow night. So we will have Leo Haggerty on here in just a little bit. Let's go out to a commercial break here on the evolution of sports talk television, the sports web, powered by 320solar.com.
Going solar with 320 may cost you nothing down. But the work we do is not a $0 job. With a 10-year roof penetration warranty and solar panels guaranteed for 25 years, you can have peace of mind knowing you will do the job right every time without question. 320 Solar. Power up.
To the evolution of sports talk television, powered by 320solar.com. It's the sports web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Open phone line 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. We'll have Leo Haggerty on here in just a little bit here, but let's go out to the webheads here. Of course, just a reminder, we will be live for your pre, half, and post-game editions of the sports web from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol on Thursday. I would say we're going to be starting about 6 to 6:30. We'll get your pregame, get you ready for that Thursday night matchup versus the monsters of the Midway, the Chicago Bears, who got their first loss yesterday. So 2 3-1 teams in a clash of Super Bowl 52 rematch between, of course, the Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles and Tom Brady himself. So we'll see how that transpires on Thursday night. Johnny Dean says, nobody said Hudson would be the main star. What I'm saying is Hudson will make an impact, but like I said, not enough to win the game. Chill Will on the sideline catch, it showed CD awareness a second late. Yep. Chill Will says that long touchdown pass, our safeties got burned. Other teams will take notice. They will. I mean, and again, Winfield is a rookie. He's played well. It wasn't his fault on that. It was Whitehead. They are still young rookies, so they definitely are going to have to play a lot better. And also in that same regard, you're going to have to get more pass rush from the guys up front. You're going to take that pressure off the young secondary. They played well. They had a bad game yesterday. We'll see how they do it against the Chicago Bears. Defense was experts at social distancing under Mike Smith. Packer touchdown, 12-3 correction because Mason Crosby missed the PAT. We'll go out to the live here. Greg Cole says, super inspirational performance by Mike Evans last night. Brake needs to take a bigger role. Sitton says, Big Al, me too. We are not banged up on the defense, and they may have a good outing Thursday night, the kind of game where defense wins it. And that may be the type of game. So I get it. Fans are upset about the defense getting burnt on plays of 72 yards and 53 yards and stuff like that. It's bound to happen. It can't happen. The Chargers are not a great team, but they do have a potentially really good quarterback in a Justin Herbert. So sometimes that stuff happens. It can't happen. They have to clean it up. And once again, going back to what we've kind of talked about with this team and the missing out on those reps, missing out on the preseason opportunities. You still have the opportunity. When you miss out on those opportunities, there's an effect. There's a cause and effect. There's been an effect. So this team definitely has to get it together. Eventually, they are going to get it together, which is why I said last week, the NFL should be petrified. Did you see the game yesterday? Did you see Tom Brady? Do you think he's washed up? Tell me you think he's washed up. Because we'll go down the list of negativity. Because that's what Bucs fans like to do. Tom Brady's washed up. He's too old. He threw a pick six. Ronald Jones dropped passes yesterday. Cornerbacks got burnt. The defense didn't get enough sacks. And even saying all that, the Bucs are still 3-1. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Again, to update the injury situation, we're waiting for Leo Haggerty. Here he comes. O.J. Howard, a ruptured Achilles tendon. He's out for the year. Mike Evans, of course, on the injury list. It looks like Chris Godwin is going to miss the game. Leonard Fournette could play. We'll see what happens. LaShawn McCoy has a grade 2 sprained ankle, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. Scotty Miller also has his own problems, and Justin Watson has a chest injury. Once again, though, and they also have William Golston, Rob Gronkowski, and outside linebacker Jason Pierre-Paul as limited participants. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in practice. We'll see throughout the week because it is a short week. Let's go ahead and go out to the legend himself. Go ahead and center yourself up there, buddy, so we can get you on. That would be Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend himself, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions. There we go. Mr. Leo Haggerty, welcome to the Evolution, powered by 320solar.com. And here we are on a short week against the Bears. The Bucs are 3-1.
And thanks the Bears, Peter, because anybody else I'd be concerned, because let's be honest, the Bucs defense got carved up by a rookie last week. I mean, Justin Herbert was the real deal, 20 of 25, and he did it with pressure in his face. It was a sight to behold to watch two guys throw, I think, 8 touchdown passes between them. Brady had 5 and Herbert had 3. And I'll tell you what, it was it looked like Vietnam out there. The bombs were flying.
And I tell you right now, you weren't surprised by this performance because you told me a couple years back that Jim Leavitt, former USF coach, and of course worked with Oregon, said he was the best quarterback that he ever seen. Go ahead and respond to that.
Oh, absolutely. And Dave Alexander, who does the West Coast for us, does the Los Angeles Chargers and the Las Vegas Raiders. He said right out the gate that this is the guy that should have been the first quarterback taken after Joe Burrow. And again, he said that he was on par with Joe Burrow. He's seen him play for 3 years at Oregon. The kid came in at 6'1". He's now 6'6". He grew up within like a 5-iron from Austin Stadium there in Eugene, local kid and West Coast guy, and he is the real deal. He did not get rattled, and I'll tell you, the Bucs threw everything at him but the kitchen sink, and he didn't get rattled. And if it wasn't for a fumble late in the first half on a handoff, I think the Bucs would have been in real trouble if they would have went in down 24-7 at half, and the Chargers having to get the ball start the second half.
Yeah, what do you make of Anthony Lynn's decision? I mean, why not as a coach just kneel on it? You're up 24-7. You're on the road. Why try to run the ball? You're not going to get nothing out of that situation. Credit to the Bucs defensive line and then Dominican Sue for making a play and Devin White recovering it. But why is Anthony Lynn trying to get cute there? Why not kneel on the ball, take your lead, and go into halftime?
Man, some people get greedy, Peter. I mean, you look at I think what he thought is if he'd have taken a knee, the Bucs would have started taking timeouts. And again, sometimes the best coaching you do is the coaching you don't do. And just, okay, take a knee, make the Bucs, blow through 3 timeouts, and then punt the ball and see what they can do. But yeah, I bet he'd love to have that play back because, again, the last thing you expect to have happen is your quarterback and your running back fumble the exchange. Now, again, Peter, we're talking a wet ball. We're talking conditions that were not ideal in Tampa. And I kind of hope an assistant coach would have just said, hey, do we want to take a knee? Are we happy with 24-7? Put that bug in his ear. I just don't think that happens a lot in the NFL where, it's just the offensive coordinator, the head coach, they're the only, and the defense coordinator, they're the only people communicating, probably special teams guys in there too. But assistant coaches need to present scenarios. There's your SAT word of the night.
Oh, very nice.
To the head coach, just to get him thinking, get that gray matter working up top.
Leo, what do you make of the pick six situation by Brady throwing to Justin Watson? Al Keck said they should throw that play out of the playbook. Are you in agreement with that? Leo Ward.
How about throwing the receiver out of the playbook? I mean, I just think, Peter, we saw the same thing against the Houston Texans last year. He rounded the route. You cannot run an out route and round it because all the defensive back is going to do, if they're playing zone, their outside technique, they're going to be on your outside shoulder. And as soon as you turn, they're right there. And you just bring the route right to them. They don't have to close. And Peter, if you look at it, you'll see exactly what happened is that, Justin Watson, took that out at about 7-8 yards and all of a sudden became 10. Defensive back just stepped up. That's that's a mortal sin when it comes to running routes. You cannot round off an out route, period.
What do you make of the performance by the offensive line yesterday? I get it. Brady did have some pressure, but Tristan Wirfs basically shutting down a Joey Bosa. He's been impressive. I know you didn't see this, but Wirfs has been impressive, and that offensive line overall yesterday was impressive versus the Chargers, right?
Yeah, and it was kind of funny, Peter, when we got on afterwards. The Buccaneers receivers and quarterbacks said, we saw a lot more cover 2 than we thought we'd get. That's why we took shots down the field. Well, shots down the field means your offensive line has to perform. They have to hold up. And again, they were holding up pretty much on a regular basis. Now, again, the offensive line, there's pressure, but you got a guy back there who's been there 20 years. He's used to seeing that kind of pressure. He can move right, left, step up, step back. And that's basically what Brady did to bide time when he did get people coming through.
And speaking of timeless wonder, we got Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions. It's Sports Mag here on the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. Talking about Brady, 30 for 46, 369, 5 touchdowns. We already talked about the pick 6, but simply amazing. And you look at it, do you want your quarterback to throw 46 times? If your offensive line is able to keep the pressure off, yes, you do, because Brady is definitely going to carve you up like he did that defense. Do you think that it's kind of silly now for all the talking heads and pundits before the season to say that Brady basically has seen his best days? He really hasn't, right?
Well, Peter, he has seen his best days, but his days he's still got some good days in him. It's kind of like the old the old song, "I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was," by Toby Keith, and all he needs to do is, that once was, all he needs to do is once every weekend, and that's all. And, he never had this kind of receiving tandem that he has down here. Again, the problem is, Peter, this may be a Pyrrhic victory. And again, there's another SAT word. When you lose O.J. Howard, if you're going to lose, you and I texted about this. If you're going to lose anybody, you want to lose a tight end. Like I said, better 80 than 12, because if 12 goes down, now you're in serious trouble. But you got Evans, you'll get Godwin back eventually. But Peter, you're seeing just a rash of injuries throughout the NFL. People are going down like flies. And then with the Titans and New England having, the COVID outbreaks. And, Peter, I'm starting to wonder, we sat there last week and we saw these huge fines to coaches for taking their mask down. Mm-hmm. Couldn't understand it because, everybody on the field has tested negative. Well, Peter, we're finding out the test is not done on game day. That the first time a test was done on game day was to the Vikings yesterday. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that the show must go on and the process is more than the safety of the players, because they've got tests that'll give you a result within 15 minutes. The NFL doesn't want that. They want those tests that are going to sit there the night before, and they don't want to test those players on game day, because if you got to shut down a game like they had to do with the Patriots, that hurts TV, and TV hurts the pocketbook.
Do you think that the game should have been played tonight with Kansas City? It looks like Kansas City won that game, but from New England's aspect, it's unfair because you're missing out on a Cam Newton. Could the NFL have maybe postponed it for another week, put it on? Why not do that? Why do you have to rush it and play it on a Monday night without a Cam Newton? It just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Well, Peter, here's the thing. I mean, how could you have done your contact tracing? How could you have done? They said, well, we did contact tracing. Well, if you're that good with it, why are you not doing a game day? It makes no sense. Now, Peter, catch what the Patriots had to go through. They had to meet at the facility around 4 a.m. Half of them flew out of Providence. These were the ones that have already been either in contact with Cam Newton or have already had COVID. The rest of them flew out of Boston. They get into Kansas City about the same time, spent 3 hours at the hotel, then went back and tried to play a game. That's a 22-hour day. And no, it wasn't fair. The big thing about the NFL is they have an even playing field. This was not an even playing field. And the NFL should have just said, okay, we're going to back this up. And Tennessee and Pittsburgh, they set the precedent there. Okay, we can find a way to do this. We'll just juggle games. They didn't want to juggle games. They didn't want to do that. And you know what, Peter, it's inevitable that this is going to happen again. The problem is, if this happens in the playoffs, now you got playoffs. Now you got a problem.
Yeah, playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yeah.
We'll talk about playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking with Leo Haggerty, the legend himself there, Jim Moore, on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, powered by 320solar.com. Let's take a look at Mike Evans. 7 catches for 122 yards. In your opinion, do you feel like he's going to play through this injury against the Bears, or will the Bucs be careful, sit him down, and give him all the rest? Because I look at it this way. If it's a very serious ankle injury, I can't see him playing. But just knowing Mike Evans, most likely he's going to. If you play through this game, then you got 10 days of rest. You get ready for the Packers, right?
We'll find out if Mike knows Novocaine. And Peter, if this wasn't a Thursday night game, he'd probably be fine. But again, they got to make a decision. Do you play Mike Evans and then have to lose him against Green Bay? They may be able to beat Chicago without Mike Evans. I mean, they're going to have a pretty good group of players coming in. So that's something they'll be able to deal with. Again, it's a hard decision because, Peter, look what happened with the running backs. I mean, McCoy got hurt. Fournette was on the IR. All of a sudden, you got Jones and you got Vaughn. That was it. I mean, after that, it was you and me. We were going in the game. And it's not a good situation.
Do you think Fournette comes back against the Bears on Thursday night?
I think it all depends on how bad McCoy is hurt. They're going to have somebody.
Great. It's a grade 2 sprained ankle, so it doesn't sound like, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, that he's going to play against the Bears. And why would you play him if Fournette's available? But it kind of goes back to what you said. You have Jones, you have Keyshawn Vaughn, and then whoever else is on the roster. So now all that depth is basically gone by the wayside. Let me ask you this with the running back situation. Let's go to the tight end position. Who's more likely to step up? Is it a Rob Gronkowski? Is it a Cameron Brate? Or is it a Tanner Hudson, in your opinion?
I think it's going to be Cameron Brate. Gronkowski is what it is. He's going to be a guy who's going to be a move the chain guy now. He's just not going to be that deep threat that he used to be. But he's going to be that guy, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. It's going to be able to go down 8 yards, hook up, and boom, there it is. Cameron Brate is got to step up. It's got to be a situation because the Bucs love to use 2 and 3 tight ends. In fact, Peter, if you saw, there were times in the game they had 3 tight ends and they split them all out. Remember how we used to talk about if you put your team in a base defense and all of a sudden that tight end splits out, guess what? There's a linebacker or a strong safety trying to cover him. And we saw that the other night with the Eagles and the 49ers. I mean, I was getting ready to pick up the phone and call Jim Schwartz and say, you know what? Can somebody cover the tight end? Because he's the only guy they're throwing to. I mean, Kittle was just like Peter, when the 49ers came in here 2 years ago, same thing. I mean, all they did was Garoppolo to Kittle. And it's like, okay, did someone figure that out to stop it? So it's crazy. And Peter, here's the funny part. And I'm going on record right now. 7 wins get you to the top of the NFC East. Do not be surprised. I don't know if it's terrible. I just know that Dallas is just an abomination down there. The Eagles, and again, their biggest problem there is they drew the NFC West as theirs. And boy, I'll tell you, the NFC West is tough. I mean, Arizona, you talk all you want about Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson's the MVP, bar none. Because if he goes down, Seattle's an average football team. He makes them look good.
He really does. And all the touchdowns that he's been just throwing, it's been amazing for them. You talk about that NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys, you get Mike McCarthy. You think you're going to clean some of this stuff up. I get it. Once again, you miss those reps and those opportunities. But you have talent everywhere, all over that team. Why can't they play defense? Why can't they put together a full game?
Well, you know, it's funny, Peter, that all of a sudden they changed defensive coordinators. You know, Rod Marinelli, the old Bucs defensive line coach, was their defensive coordinator, and the defense was the pride of their team. But now it's like it doesn't matter who comes in there. I mean, they get carved up. It's just, you know, teams are running to Dallas just to go in because their offense knows, hey, it's going to be a field day. I don't know why they're having trouble. And forget about that. How about Atlanta? I mean, Houston fires their head coach. How does Atlanta? I mean, they've blown 3 games. I mean,
They're
flat out.
20-3 down right now to the Packers on Monday Night Football. I mean, who gets fired first? Dan Quinn after the game. Adam Gase, why hasn't he been fired? And are you surprised by Bill O'Brien being fired today? I got to tell you something. I wasn't. In fact, I thought it was completely it was a foregone conclusion for him to get fired after he made that insane move of trading DeAndre Hopkins for basically nothing.
Well, here's the thing, Peter. If I'm the owner, if he signed off on that, he has absolutely no knowledge of football, because you're going to give away a guy who's going to get you anywhere from 100 to 130 catches a year. And it's the guy, your quarterback, he's your go-to guy. Why in God's name would you even think that you want to get rid of this guy? So it made no sense. And if the owner signed off on that, shame on him too, because that's just this team was in the playoffs last year. They beat Buffalo because basically Deshaun Watson refused to go down on a sack, and they beat Buffalo, and they're up 24-0 in Kansas City. Now, if you were going to fire anybody, you should have fired him after that debacle of a fake punt when you're up 24-7. I mean, hello.
And they made him the general manager of the team. Like, what are you doing by making him the general manager? That's the problem with this franchise. They have all this talent, and I don't understand how they convinced Deshaun Watson. I mean, they must have took a Men in Black thing, put it in his face, and made him forget the god-awful situation that he was going to be in this year with having no Hopkins. I don't understand why he signed a contract extension. I don't understand why this franchise made Bill O'Brien the general manager. I have no idea what they're doing, and I have no idea why they're not able to compete, especially with the Deshaun Watson as your quarterback. You're not giving him the weapons, but still. And then on top of it, you have a J.J. Watt on defense who's one of the premier players. So I think I'm missing something here. The next coach that could be fired, besides a Gase and a Quinn, could it be a Matt Patricia? I mean, has that train ran its course or ran off the railroad tracks? Because you have a 14-0 lead. You're supposedly a defensive-minded coach, and you blow the lead versus Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Am I missing something here?
Yeah, they're missing something in Detroit because they have the best quarterback that just can't get to the playoffs in Matthew Stafford. They just can't stop anybody. I mean, if Dallas and Detroit played, it may be first 1 to 60 because neither one of them can stop anybody. And Peter, when you look at this and you look at what's going around the NFL, you can see that these teams that just can't have padded practices, it's hurting them. It's hurting the It's hurting the product. It's crazy when you think that this is the best that money can buy. And Deshaun Watson must have decided that, hey, let's sign this contract, because if we still have a bad season, I'll be able to probably have a lot of input as to who becomes the head coach, because you're not going to get him angry, because that's the worst thing you could do is to have him turn on you.
Absolutely. Now, and that is your franchise quarterback, so he will have some input. If you are the Houston Texans, are you giving a call to an Eric Bieniemy who has paid his dues? He played in the league. Why isn't he getting a job? And then if it's not Bieniemy, is it Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma?
You know what, Peter? I think you just assign somebody to get through the year. Because here's the crazy thing. Could you imagine if they go, let's say, 3-13 and have the number 1 pick in the draft? And the number 1 pick is going to be Trevor Lawrence. They are going to get a boatload of draft picks to move out of that number 1 spot. So again, I don't know. the Jets think they have their quarterback. I don't think Sam Donald. I never thought Sam Donald was a franchise quarterback, and he's kind of proven me right so far.
Sure.
Miami is going to win some games. Jacksonville's going to win some games. Detroit may be at the bottom of the pile. The Giants, they think they got their franchise. The teams that could end up with the first pick, it's going to be a year where you can't use it because you got quarterbacks you are invested in big time. So it's going to be basically who's ever up there 1 and 2, and you're going to have Lawrence and Fields out of Ohio State. They're going to be the two guys. Now, I'll tell you what, Peter, here's your dark horse. Check out the guy at North Dakota State.
Yep. I've already heard
He is the real deal. And again, he's a Carson Wentz clone, another big guy who can throw it all over the lot. And if you get a chance, though, Peter, take a look at the highlight from the Clemson game where Trevor Lawrence throws what seems like a 24-yard touchdown pass to Rodgers. Well, what it was is he hits him in the back of the end zone. So that 24 becomes 34, and he's about 10 yards back. So it's somewhere between 45 and 48 yards, and it's on a rope. It's a missile. There's no air under that. I'm going, man, every NFL head coach, every NFL GM and scout just salivated saying, my God, that's a big time throw. I tell you, I'm just watching this going, where's he throwing? It's got to be like a 15-yarder, and all of a sudden this thing, it's on a dime right to the back of the end zone.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's talk about this matchup between the Bears. Khalil Mack has been limited, hasn't even participated in a full practice. Do you think he's a full go? And is he the nightmare matchup that you don't want to see Donovan Smith basically be out on an island against a Khalil Mack because we know how he can take over some games?
Yeah, I don't think you want either of your tackles out there on an island. Just because of the way the league is. When you put those guys out in that Ghost 9 technique where they're so far out that you can't get to them because they're faster than you are getting depth. I think Khalil Mack will hear the band play on Thursday and he'll suit up. And again, Peter, what you're seeing head coaches do, and Bruce Arians is starting to come around to that philosophy, is that you don't win a game on Monday or Tuesday. You win a game on Sunday. And you got to get players ready to play. And some of these guys, they just you need to give them time off. Like, Peter, I always went by this, Leoism 103. And that is, in high school, there's a winner and a loser. In college, there's a survivor. In the NFL, there's a reason why players have days off, because you're just so beat up. Bruce Arians said, we're not even going to be able to practice this week. It's all mental reps. We can't get on the field. Players' day off is Monday. Tuesday's going to be a walkthrough. Wednesday, we're going to fly up there. So again, Peter, Thursday night football is never good football, just because there's just no time to prepare and no time to recover. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this matchup, but do you feel like this favors the Bucs defense because Nick Foles is just coming into the starting situation? Their offense struggled yesterday versus the Colts. I mean, can the Bucs defense have the advantage in this game, or is it a nip and tuck affair where it's a 20-17 where it comes down to a Ryan Suckup or a final drive by Tom Brady?
Oh, I think it's going to be a close one, Peter, only because the home team always has the advantage on Thursday night because they don't have to travel. And, someone asked a question of Bruce Arians that, what's it going to be like sitting around the hotel all day with nothing to do? He said, Thursday nights are tough because you don't get to watch anything. I mean, if you're playing Sunday night, at least sit around and watch a game. Monday night's terrible. Thursday night's terrible because you're just not ready. You're just sitting there and you're just looking at the clock and the clock's not moving. So, yeah, it favors the home team. If the Bucs defense, the first 3 games shows up, I tell you, I just hope it's not the one that showed up for the Chargers. But again, Peter, they call it the NFL for a reason, not for long. People figure you out. And they're starting to figure out, and Troy Odegaard, our guy who does quarterbacks, he said, people are figuring out that when you come to the line of scrimmage, you better figure out where 31 and 33 are, because one or both of them are coming. Winfield and Whitehead, I tell you what, they're making a career out of sacking coming out of the secondary.
How impressed are you by that young secondary? I get it. They got picked apart yesterday, namely a Sean Murphy Bunting. Whitehead had his troubles, but a Winfield who has been everywhere. How impressed are you with Winfield? And do you think there is an advantage with him having his father playing in the NFL? Because it seems like they're talking every week. So it's almost like his father is breaking down the defense for him, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's a pedigree there. I mean, you just don't come into the league without having an idea. And he had an idea. And I asked him, too, that he played for P.J. Fleck out at Minnesota, and P.J. was the wide receivers coach for the Buccaneers. I said, how important was it to have him there to tell you what to expect? He goes, it was invaluable. It was just, I call him every now and then just to touch base and find out what's going on. And again, you got pedigree there, Peter, and it can't hurt because Daddy was a pretty darn good cornerback.
Yeah, Daddy was definitely a pretty good cornerback, a pretty good defensive player. All right, Leo Haggerty, we'll get you out of here on this. Give me a prediction for the score. I got to put you on the spot. Bears and Bucs on Thursday Night Football. Who wins and why?
Peter, I'll tell you what. The Soldier Field turf is notoriously the worst in the NFL. Hopefully the Bucs get in there before it's just torn to shreds like it normally is in the middle of October on in November, December. I look for the Bucs to play well. I look for the Bears to play well. And I think it's going to come down to, like you said, it's going to be a late field goal by the Bucs, 19-17.
All right, there you go. 19-17 Bucs over the Chicago Bears. Thanks a lot, Leo Haggerty, the legend, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions. It's Sports Mag. We got to get you out there to the Deck Bar and Grill for some wings and some camera time. I don't know if you noticed this, but we got a 4K camera now. How's that shot look? Do I look good?
Yeah, you look a lot better than I do. Is that saying much though? Hey, by the way, I got a call into the Mandrell sisters. We're going to try to get one of them on the show one of these days.
Sounds good, man. Go with Barbara, right? All right, buddy.
Oh, no. You want Erlene. Trust me. Erlene is the good-looking one.
Erlene? Okay. I'll take your word for it. There you go. Leo Haggerty right there on the evolution of Talk Television. Appreciate you, boss.
Take care, buddy. Talk to you next Monday.
All right, there you go. Powered by 320solar.com. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the webheads here, expecting Frank Ammons of 320solar.com. So let's see here. Christopher first. Remember, we're still in the fourth game of the year, basically preseason. I agree with you. To be honest, the Bucs defense also made up for the first quarter by holding them to a touchdown, while the offense made up for it with a 17-point deficit. Agree? I absolutely agree with you, but the negativity has flowed through some of these Facebook groups. And I'm sorry, Bucs fans, I got to do it. I mean, you would think this team is 0-4 or 1-3. You would think that they're the freaking Atlanta Falcons or the Houston Texans the way they played yesterday. With seeing some of the comments. And some of you guys just will not stop with the Winston stuff. Will not stop. It doesn't matter how great this quarterback plays. You won't stop. You continue to prove a point. You're like petulant little 4th and 5th graders. Ooh, I'm going to tell on you. And once the Bucs lose, oh, I told you so. Garbage. 727-255-0391. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing it. And I think it's very interesting when you have a live show after a big victory where your quarterback throws for 5 touchdowns that nobody calls in and wants to say, well, maybe the Bucs organization were right when they signed a Tom Brady for $25 million, which a lot of you fans out there were like, oh my God, we signed him to that type of contract. Why? Because of what he did yesterday. That's why. Do you think the Bucs will beat the Chiefs? I think they match up really well with the Chiefs. Well, that's down the road, but you definitely want to see that matchup, right? I want to see it. NFL did us a favor by putting that game later on in the year. Did the Bucs a favor. And 62 defensive snaps. Bosa had 1 solo tackle, 2 quarterback hits, and 1 assist. All right. Levante David had 10 solo tackles, 1 assist, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 pass. He's been everywhere. I mean, what's new with Levante David? By the way, NFL talking heads, wake up. Levante David has been the real deal since he came into the league. He has been the real deal. Has he played on losing teams? Yes, but he's been one of the most consistent defensive players on this team, period. There's no discussion. You continue to make the discussion. Oh, well, he's played for losing teams. Look at his numbers. It's not his fault that the organization didn't put pieces around him. It's not. And it's not a Gerald McCoy thing either, jerks. 51 snaps. Amazing. Once again, thanks a lot, Atlanta Falcons, for playing defense. How can you call yourself a defensive mastermind and can't put a good defense on the field, Atlanta Falcon fan? Or the Atlanta Falcon organization, for that matter. Am I missing something here? I mean, this really reminds me of the Lovie Smith situation when he got hired as a Bucs head coach, right? He was supposed to improve the defense. Couldn't do it. Dan Quinn was supposed to improve the defense. In fact, he was supposed to bring his pedigree from the Legion of Boom. Never done it. Hasn't done it. It's gotten worse. Just like Lovie Smith's defense. Worse. How is that possible with some of the talent the Falcons have? They got talent on that team. 20-3? Thanks a lot for showing up. Bring your playbook at the end of the game. Don't even bother getting on the freaking bus or the plane or anything else. You're fired. Get out. It looks like Atlanta won't blow a lead tonight. No. Happy birthday, Peter H. Blake, my man. Love everything you're all doing. Appreciate you. Peter, you're the man. I appreciate you, Blake. Big win by the Saints yesterday. Definitely got to get you on here. Texans suck. Luis Mandrell. Okay. I don't know, guys. You got to send me some pictures. I have no idea. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. What do you think of the win yesterday? I honestly thought I was in the twilight zone yesterday. I heard some people talking, oh, that was an ugly win. Ugly? I'll take an ugly win. You want an ugly loss? Go back a couple of years ago when you're against the Bears and you're getting your doors blown off. Ugly win. There's no such thing. A win is a win. You play to win the game. Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. Defense makes a play. I don't know what Anthony Lynn is thinking. Kneel on the ball if it's down. If you're 24-7, what are you doing? And if you don't think momentum exists in sports, watch that game yesterday. You open up that door, Bucs come right on in. Come right on in. Sit down. Have a cup of coffee. Have 2 cups of coffee. That team came out flat yesterday. They needed it. They needed that turnover. We are on a roll, says Dre Long. Are the Bears next? Fans out there, are you concerned about this matchup? According to Ian Rappaport, doesn't look like LaShawn McCoy is going to play in that game. Serious grade 2 sprained ankle. Not good. I almost feel like the NFL this is a black eye for the NFL. I love football. Don't get me wrong. I'll talk football all day, all night, on the weekends, even on holidays. You've seen it. I've done it. I'll do it again. But should the NFL take some responsibility for all the injuries that have happened around the league? I mean, I get it. You want to play a game. Okay, we want to play the game. We want to play football. We don't want to, tell fans that the sky is falling. But really, at the expense of what? The expense of your superstars? Look at the San Francisco 49ers and how it's affected them. Quarterback out. Defensive players of the year. I get it. Injuries happen, but this is a different year. Would you not say? Look at all the injuries around the league. You think this is good? You think it's good to see backup players playing second and third stringers? Do you, NFL? How about you fans out there? I know you like football any way it goes, but do you like to see some of your teams out there? I know it's affected the Bucs. I know there's a lot of concern about this team right now. Will Mike Evans play? The way he played yesterday, he is so important. Please do not get on this show. Do not get on this show and tell me that Mike Evans isn't one of the top wide receivers in the league, because I will hang up on your ass. I will hang up on you. Absolutely hang up on you. If you watched that game yesterday, you saw how important he is to the offense. Not saying Chris Godwin isn't. It would be nice to get them both on the field together, would it not? And they haven't been able to do that this year, and you're still looking at 3-1. And still, I go to groups, and they act like they're 1-3 or 0-4. You should be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed. Cut the crap, as my dad would used to say. All right, I think the Bucs win against the Bears this week. This could be a real turning point. Could be. Laugh out loud. Peter yelling, I am. I've never seen so many negativity comments. I get it, the Bucs played a bad game the first half. Would you rather them play a good first half and then not play good in the second half and lose the game? I mean, I don't know what you want. I mean, I feel like I'm asking my significant other, which I've never had, and you know this, we've talked before, about what would you like to eat? What do you want me to do to make the situation better? I don't know your signals. I don't know this. What would you like me to do? That's what I would say to Bucs fans. What do you want? Do you want wins? You want wins by 30? Good luck. It doesn't happen in the NFL. Not every week. That's why you have coaches out there. Like Ben Cornette would say, you have 30 coaches on this coaching staff. You know why? They're looking for tendencies. They're looking for matchups. That's what they do. Not every team is going to win. The other team gets paid. Yeah, I get it. Justin Herbert's a rookie quarterback. Nearly throws for 300 yards. That kid is good. But we all know you give any quarterback more than 3 to 5 seconds, he's going to pick you apart, right? If the blitzes aren't getting there, then you're in big trouble. And the blitzes didn't get there in the first half. But again, give credit to where credit is due. For this Bucs team in the second half, they made the necessary adjustments. They did. You give up 7 points, you make stops to give your offense back, and then boom, boom, boom. How good was that to see yesterday? How good was it to see Scotty Miller catching deep passes? Oh, ye have little faith. That kid is becoming a player right before your eyes. Justin Watson, needs to work on it. Rounding off routes, it's going to get you in trouble. Most likely, it's going to get you cut. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. NFL should have pushed back the season a month. I agree. Why not push it back? Why? Money. We'll just play the song, money, money, money. I get it. Everybody wants everything to be normal, but it's not normal. And you're not going to normalize this when basically you take away the opportunity for football players to have those reps in the offseason. Well, preseason doesn't matter. Oh, really? Bet I won't hear a fan say that again. Huh. I bet I won't. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. So going back to the game yesterday, big play, 72-yarder. Sean Murphy-Bunting doesn't look good. Not at all. Saw the old XFL tight end. There's nothing you could do about that. That's the size. I think Murphy-Bunting did everything he could on that play. Parham just wanted it more. We saw, Pat Yasenskas, who's covered the NFL for years for the Bucs and Carolina Panthers, told you that eventually that player was going to hook onto a roster. Why? Too much talent, too much size. He wanted the ball more than Sean Murphy-Bunting. He had a distinct advantage, a height advantage over him. That's what happened on that play. I don't necessarily think it was bad coverage. It looked bad, but if you go back to the replay, the Bucs got to cut down on the penalties. You got to cut down on it. Carlton Davis makes an interception yesterday. Good job closing out the game. You got to cut down on those penalties, especially pass interference. You can't be grabbing on wide receivers because the refs are looking for it. They are. Your target. They know who you are. They know what you do. They know it. So you got to cut down on that. Overall, though, I think besides the first half, you have to be pretty happy, right, Bucs fans? No! We aren't happy. Why would we be happy? We've turned into some damn trolls. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. So what are your biggest concerns versus the Chicago Bears on Thursday night? Khalil Mack, Nick Foles, Allen Robinson. I mean, I don't think the Bears are that great of a team, to tell you the truth, even though they're 3-1. I think the Bucs can beat this team. I do. Now, of course, without Mike Evans, I think it's totally different. Because then you've got to depend on players like a Scotty Miller, who you like to have as a second or third wide receiver, not your number one. You got to depend on the likes of a Justin Watson, an unproven a Tyler Johnson, a Sorrell Grayson. Guys like that. And a Tanner Hudson. Do you want to depend on him? I think he can contribute. I do. You want him to be your number one tight end? No, of course not. Absolutely not. So we'll get Liam Mitchell on here in just a little bit. Let's go out to Johnny Dean. I was very happy you win games in the second half. They don't award game balls for the first half play. I mean, and the Falcons scored a touchdown. Congratulations. Maybe Dan Quinn saved his job. Who knows? Maybe the Falcons can. Todd Gurley looks like he scored there. So there we go. But we'll have Liam Mitchell on here of Fan to Fan Network doing some big things with YouTube. Get his analysis on it. But you're looking at the game itself, it comes down to what? Matchups. The matchup that I'm worried about is Khalil Mack. Now, he hasn't been as aggressive as he usually is. Why? Because he has a knee injury. He has only 1.5 sacks. That's not to say he can't go off in this game. Donovan Smith scares still the hell out of me. It comes down to effort. What are the Bucs going to do to counteract a Khalil Mack? Are you going to put a tight end on that side? That's why it's so disappointing to lose O.J. Howard with the way he's playing. I don't know what this is here. What is this? Okay. All right. Oh, great. Okay. I don't know what that is. I don't know who that is. 20-10 Packers. And Lola J is, wow. Okay. I don't know what that is. I guess that's a troll there. I'm not going to read those stupid comments. Absolutely stupid. That's what you get right here. I don't know who Lola J is. She could be Jay-Z making comments like that. I don't care. But going back to the matchup versus the Chicago Bears, you definitely are going to have to get pressure on Nick Foles. This Bucs defense did a good job last year against him, did they not? Remember Jacksonville? Remember that led to Gardner Minshew being the starting quarterback because of Nick Foles? So, yeah. All right, so go back to the score here, 20-10. Packers over, I don't know who this is. Great. Cowboy hats. Wow. Gotta love live television, right? You gotta love it. Live streaming on YouTube. Nobody has anything better to do than to troll a show like the evolution of sports talk television. Peter got spammed. It looks like it. Yes. Laugh out loud. I don't know who that is. Who the hell knows who that is? So we got 6 minutes until we get Liam Mitchell on here. But yeah, I mean, that's my question for you fans out there. What are you concerned about the matchup? Is it Nick Foles versus this defense? Do you think do you still have faith in the defense? Because I hear tonight Joe Will saying the secondary has regressed. One game, you're already saying they regressed? I mean, I think they got beat. I think they had a bad game. Regressed is really strong. Although there would be people out there that would say, well, you know what? The reason why they won those games, Pete, is because Carolina is a bad team, which, by the way, they beat Arizona, so they're 2-2 now, so they're not that bad, right? And then you have, of course, the Denver Broncos, who picked up their first win versus the New York Jets just in the season. So Spam is delicious. It is very delicious. Can you make that in an air fryer? Because I got an air fryer for my birthday. Yeah. One more thing I can burn something with. Awesome. I'll tell you what we're going to go ahead and do. Before we get Liam Mitchell on, let's go out to a commercial break really quick because I know you fans, you love those commercials, but we do have to pay the bills. And then when we come back, we'll have Liam Mitchell on of Fan to Fan Network on the evolution of sports talk television. Enjoy.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
Of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Remember, join us at the Deck Bar and Grill on Thursday night as we will get you ready for Bears versus Bucs. probably about 6:30, we'll have your pregame show. Of course, we'll go to halftime. We'll let you watch the game, and then we'll have all your post-game reaction, whether the Bucs win or lose here on Bucs Report on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Join the 66,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube with Lola J there. I don't know who the hell that is. Who cares? You got Twitter, and, of course, the Bucs Report Twitch channel, which needs some work. Maybe we'll get Lola J on that. That should work out. She'll give us 2 viewers instead of 1. If she's a she, who knows? Secondary is still young and growing. It is a bot, I know. Touchdown Packers and big bot alert. It was. You got to love when you're watching a Zoom meeting with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you have somebody goes in there that's a bot and they keep on pushing out this advertisement. It makes me want to come through the phone and choke that person, honestly. Like, I just want to choke them. All right. So with all that being said, let's go out to Liam Mitchell here of Fan to Fan Network. I know I got it right because I looked it up this time. And how you doing, bud? And the Bucs are 3-1, but yet the fan reaction on Facebook is so negative. Am I missing something here? I mean, you got to be happy with the Bucs being 3-1, right?
I'm extremely happy. We won the game. We're 3-1, first time in almost a decade. Tom Brady, 5 touchdowns, 369 yards. I guess the old guy still has it. So to the Brady haters out there, how about them apples, man? He tore it up in the second half.
Yeah, you really did. The first half was what everybody's kind of been jawing about, how they came out, they looked flat. Of course, the pick 6 with Justin Watson. I mean, let me get your thoughts. Do you have faith in Justin Watson running an out route, or do you feel like that play should be outed?
I think that play should be outed. I mean, that's the Saints game on the out route to Justin Watson. Yesterday on the out route to Justin Watson. I believe the Texans game last year, Justin Watson on the out route. Clearly, he's not running a good route. I mean, you got to give a little bit of blame to Brady there. The DBs are just kind of sitting on that route. But, I mean, Justin Watson also had a drop a couple drives later. Not having Chris Godwin was hurting there early on. I'm not a big fan of Justin Watson, and I think a lot of Bucs fans could agree.
Yeah, not a big fan, but he still is a young wide receiver. He can't round out those routes, which is what a lot of our guys have been saying tonight. Talk about Mike Evans. I know you're a big fan of him. And talk about his performance, over 100 receiving yards on where it looked like he had an injury to his ankle. First and foremost, talk about that performance. And do you feel like he's going to play against the Bears on Thursday night?
Well, first of all, yeah, you got to love – if you're a Bucs fan, you got to love Mike Evans. I mean, he took a pay cut not too long ago. He's out there grinding, giving everything he's got for us. I love that kind of effort from him. That play, I thought I was just thankful when it first happened live. I thought maybe he tore his ACL or, something a lot worse. Luckily, thank God that wasn't the case. But, I just what a game by him. Because I don't, if he doesn't come back in that game, we don't win. He's such a great target, got so many guys on him. I mean, we don't win that game without Mike Evans.
Yeah, you don't win that game against Mike Evans because you don't have Chris Godwin, and it looks like Godwin could miss the Bears game. So Evans definitely means a lot. So we'll see if he plays or not. But of course, not only is Evans hurt, but also LaShawn McCoy, who could have a really bad sprained ankle. But you got a chance to see Ronald Jones, a victim of volume, which is what I call him on the show. Should make a T-shirt about it. Over 100 rushing yards yesterday. And he had a sighting of Keyshawn Vaughn going with the catching the go-ahead touchdown. Talk about those two running backs and their performances versus the Chargers yesterday.
Yeah, great to see Rojo with over 100 yards. I don't think I saw, not a ton. Keyshawn Vaughn didn't get a lot of touches, so I still would need to see more from him. But it was great to see a third-round pick get in the end zone. And it's really encouraging to see Rojo play that way. I still think Leonard Fournette's the better back, and going down the stretch this season, I do think he will be our lead guy. But when you're getting over 100 yards rushing, I mean, that's a positive. That sets up the pass. So, hopefully we continue that on Thursday on this short week, because it's going to be a defensive game on Thursday. With Mike's banged up. We're probably not going to have Chris Godwin. O.J. Howard's now out. We'll see with Leonard Fournette. So we got to keep that run game going. Hopefully Rojo can keep it going.
Yeah, talk about O.J. Howard and the loss on this team. What do you think the impact is?
Well, thankfully, tight end is probably the deepest position on this team. So get Tanner Hudson out there. get him out there, man. Unfortunately, we lost Auclair earlier in the year, but hey, man, Cameron Brate. How about Cameron Brate getting in the end zone on Sunday? So we're going to start seeing a lot more of Cam Brate. And then even Gronk, about time Gronk, what a great catch there on that 23-yarder. So, I mean, luckily, I think I thought Howard was the most talented tight end, even more than Gronk at this point in their careers.
I agree.
But, it hurts losing him. But luckily, we've got Cam Brate. Tanner Hudson makes some great catches. So, hopefully Hudson can step up and Brate can step up and fill in for Howard.
We're on with Liam Mitchell here, YouTube extraordinaire, does some unbelievable video work for Bucs Report, of course, fan-to-fan network. Go ahead and explain what you do on YouTube and how it's different from anything I've ever heard before.
Yeah, man, come check out my YouTube channel. I post all kinds of videos. I've been posting a lot more here recently since the season started. Tons of historical videos on past and current players. Pretty soon, I found myself a partner. His name's Chuck. Pretty soon, we're going to start live streaming and doing post and pregame reviews. I was doing them a little bit on my own, but it's good to have a partner. So once he gets on, we'll be doing it a lot more. And then over at Fan-to-Fan Network, I'm the YouTube representative there. We go head-to-head streams for the team. So on Thursday night, I got a head-to-head stream live on YouTube with the Bears representative. It's always fun. And then in the website at Fan-to-Fan Network, you can come check out the articles we post there and more links to the videos. So it's good exposure.
Yeah, it's definitely good exposure. And you talk about the tight end position. Cam Brate catches a touchdown yesterday. So I think he is the most likely suspect that's going to step up in O.J. Howard's absence. Although you talk about the 23-yard catch by Gronkowski was tremendous, where he takes it away from the defensive player. And Brady just misses him on that seam route. If he just hits him in stride, that most likely is a touchdown, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's second week in a row because he had Gronk in the corner of the end zone in Denver as well. They're just not quite connecting just yet. So, I mean, hopefully this week we can see one of those. Brady was throwing dimes all day in the second half. I know the first half, I was concerned. I was. I mean, it looked like the offense we saw in week 1, parts of week 2, where there was just no rhythm, nothing was getting going. And then in the second half is what I expected for this whole season. Tom throwing the ball down the field, hitting players in stride, great passes, great catches, scoring touchdowns, putting up a lot of points.
Yeah, 5 different receivers yesterday. First time in his career, 5 touchdowns, over 330 yards. Amazing performance by him. Let's go out to the webhead to read some of these comments. We had a few bad coverages calls, but our guys needed a punch in the mouth. Remember, anyone or any team have 2 big 3 plays. We have a lot of pressure plays. Here our guys will got to get burnt to learn, and discipline and gap control will be a top 10 defense. You still have faith in this defense that they can carry the day if the offense is struggling?
Absolutely.
Like they did?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Justin Herbert because, man, he looks good. I was not a big fan of Justin Herbert going in the game. I thought the Bucs were going to eat him alive. And he was throwing some beautiful passes yesterday. Both of those touchdown passes were great throws. He had a play. Jordan Whitehead came on a blitz, somehow got away from it, contorted, threw his body down the field, in stride, first down to Keenan Allen. He looked really good. So first of all, props to Justin Herbert. But as far as the Bucs DBs are concerned, outside of the 2 big touchdowns, I don't think it was that bad of a day. I thought. Obviously, the first one, Jordan Whitehead got caught lacking. I don't know. It looked like a cover 2. I don't know what he was doing, staring at the QB the whole play. And then the second one, we bring that all-out blitz. You gotta get there. And, I mean, it's definitely partly on Sean Bunting. He got beat immediately off the line, and I was a bit surprised he wasn't able to make that tackle. But I'm not overly concerned. I think they're going to bounce back on Thursday against Nick Foles and the Bears.
Yeah, I do too. I like the matchup versus Nick Foles and the Bears because I don't necessarily think they have a lot of offensive weapons, but I've been proven wrong before. Let's go out to Johnny Dean. Credit some of those run yards to the O-line. That was one of the most impressive things. 46 times of Brady dropping back and no sacks. I mean, that offensive line improved. There were still some pressure moments with Donovan Smith. But, man, Tristan Wirfs on the right side shutting down a Joey Bosa and absolutely just basically taking him out of the game. Talk about him a little bit.
Oh, he dominated. I mean, Joey Bosa is obviously one of the best 4-3 defensive ends in the NFL, and he shut him down. I mean, props to the whole Buccaneers offensive line. Big part of the reason as to why Tom Brady was able to stand in the pocket and deliver such beautiful passes. We found a player in Tristan Wirfs. He's already, in my opinion, better than Donovan Smith, hands down.
No, I agree with that, and I still have concerns about Smith. And, of course, it comes to the forefront this week because you're going to be matched up versus a Khalil Mack who, coming into the game, only has 1.5 sacks and looks like he's been banged up with the knee, but he's still Khalil Mack who can take over games. What would you do versus a Mack? Do you think they have that 12 or that 13 personnel or tight end and a running back chipping on him to keep him away from Brady in the pocket?
Yeah, I heard you talking about it just before I came on, and it's not only Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, they can bring it up front, and I think we just got to get the ball out really quick. We've got to get that second tight end to chip, get the running back to chip on Mack's side. Donovan Smith is going to need help, and I'm sure for these next couple days, that's one of their main goals in film study and prepping for this week's game.
Yeah,
how do we stop Khalil Mack? I mean, he's one of the best in the NFL. I'm sure we know, the coaches know, Donovan Smith's had his fair share of struggles. I think they're going to have to get the ball out quick this week. It's going to be a short, quick game. And, Tom's used to it, getting the ball out quick.
No, he absolutely is. Let's see here. Eric White says, Cam Brate and Brady have been vibing. Hudson has to step up. He almost beat the Chiefs, says Eric, on Justin Herbert. And can Rojo continue to be the number one who ran for 111 yards if Fournette and McCoy are either out or limited? First and foremost, Cam Brate and Brady, what do you see from them? Of course, it was encouraging to see the touchdown yesterday, and it looked like on that play, I was watching it, where they basically spread out 3 tight ends in a bunch. He had Brate, Howard, and Gronk, and now with Howard being out, a lot of people kind of equating that to Tanner Hudson. First and foremost, what do you think about the chemistry between Brate and Brady? Can they get it together? And do you think Tanner Hudson could be a bigger part of this offense than he has originally been?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, us as Bucs fans, we know what Cameron Brate can do. So I think they're going to click immediately. Cameron Brate's a great tight end. I think physically, he wasn't born with the natural skills that maybe Rob Gronkowski and O.J. Howard were, and doesn't really have the immense size and speed that they have. But he's a great player, man. Great player. And we've seen it for years here in Tampa. And I think they're going to click immediately. And, talking about those 3 tight end sets, I do think they'll play Hudson a decent amount. Not a ton. I don't know if we'll see those bunch formations as much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll try. I would think we do more 2 tight end sets. I can't see Hudson getting in a ton with the receivers that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there are receivers out of this game, say in Evans, you're going to have to depend on guys like Scotty Miller as your number one, Justin Watson, we spoke about him, Tyler Johnson. So hopefully Evans plays in the game. But even if Evans is banged up and you double team him, I think the tight ends are going to have to play a big part against the Bears. Guys, I agree, but Rojo has to be a starter, getting better, has to practice catching to open play action, also like Vaughn and Fournette later. I agree with you on that. There were plenty of drop passes by Ronald Jones, 20 carries for 111 yards, but he definitely has to work on catching the ball consistently, right?
Oh, yeah. I think he dropped 3 balls. I mean, that's you got to be better. If you want to be a starting running back in the NFL, you got to catch the ball. And that's one of the reasons I stand by. I still think Fournette's the best running back on this team. And when healthy, should get the majority of carries. Because you can't have that. I mean, 3-4 drops from Ronald Jones, simple little dink and dunk type plays for an easy 5-6 yards. You can't drop the ball. So, yeah, that's a negative, and that's where I think Fournette, one of the things about his game where he beats Ronald Jones, as well as hitting the hole harder and picking up blocks.
Yeah, picking up blocks, hitting the hole harder, and then also catching the ball more consistently. But I still believe the victim of volume, which is what I would characterize as Mr. Ronald Jones, who gets those 20 carries yesterday. We're on with Liam Mitchell of Fan to Fan Network here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, powered by 320solar.com. Eric says even Brady has always won with multiple running backs. That's what I keep on telling people, whether it's Jones, Fournette, McCoy, even Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, talk about Vaughn a little bit. He catches the go-ahead touchdown. Do you think eventually he's going to be the guy that's going to get some of these starting reps over a Jones or Fournette, or will they work him in here slowly because of all those missed rep opportunities in the offseason?
I think he's going to get worked in pretty slow, with Fournette and Rojo there. And then I know McCoy's hurt right now, but there's a reason they're keeping Shady around. I think he's going to get worked in real slow. Once we'll see, hopefully he can take advantage of those reps that he's able to get. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I'd like to see more on Keyshawn Vaughn before I give a proper analysis of him.
Well, what would you what would your analysis be on Levante David, who seemed like he was everywhere, and seems like he's everywhere every time every game? It seems like he's the most consistent player on this defense besides Devin White and Antoine Winfield. How would you talk about, or what would you say about Levante David this year, how he's played?
Same thing I've said since 2012, and he's arguably the best linebacker in the NFL, and he's the captain and quarterback of this defense. Without Levante David, this isn't nearly as good of a defense. The guy is all over the field, sideline to sideline, one of the fastest in the league, making tackles, interception last week, one of the best outside of maybe Charles Tillman. You could argue he's one of the best guys at forcing fumbles in the history of this league. I mean, he can punch that ball out, and I hope he's here for the long run and he never leaves Tampa, just like Derek Brooks. I don't ever want to see him leave. He's my favorite player.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of decisions to make in the offseason. We'll see what happens with Godwin, Levante David, and Shaq Barrett. All right, give me a prediction here. Bears versus the Bucs on Thursday night. Why did the Bucs win, or why did the Bucs lose?
I think the Bucs win. I think they win because I think, first of all, I think the defense is going to play really well. I'm not a fan of Nick Foles at all, both him and Mitch Trubisky. Even if Foles got benched and Trubisky came in, they're hot garbage. David Montgomery is no Walter Payton. He's no Matt Forte. He's not even Neil Anderson. He's a nobody. They got barely anybody to throw the ball to outside of Allen Robinson. I think just like in Denver a couple of weeks ago, I think we're going to bounce back and really get after the quarterback this week, cause a couple turnovers, just like we did on Foles last year. And, I think the offense, especially, if Godwin is out and, hopefully Evans can play and play well. Again, this is one of the best defenses we're playing. So I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. I'm going to go Bucs 20-16. But I think in the end, we've got Tom Brady. They've got Nick Foles. This isn't Super Bowl 52. Tom Brady's the better player. We've got better Evans over Robinson, even with that ankle injury, just like Evans over Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen looked like a fool for making that comment months ago.
Oh, yeah. He was shut down, pretty contained. I look at his statistics here. Let's see. 8 for 62 yards, and that's it. No touchdowns, so he was contained.
He's not Mike Evans. No. That comment was ridiculous.
No.
There's a reason you were ranked lower on that list, my friend, and you were not Mike Evans.
Let me read these comments, and then we'll get you out of here. Any concern for our safeties, speed? We did give up a long touchdown pass. I mean, any concern, once again, with that back end?
No. They're young. They're going to keep working together, and they'll be fine. They just got to clean up, again, that cover two. Why is Jordan Whitehead staring at the quarterback? I mean, get back, man. You can't let that guy get past you, and they'll fix these things. I'm not concerned. I really like our young DBs.
All right, I like them too. LVD is running up Hall of Fame numbers. If this team can get a couple good, strong playoff appearances, he should get enough notice to push that in the future. You agree with that? Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he getting to that point where you could be a Hall of Famer, in your opinion?
Absolutely, I think he is. And I think the thing that's missing in his career is the fact that he's never been to the playoffs. Right. Even as a linebacker, I think that's a big thing. I mean, if you've never even been to the postseason, then you kind of wonder, well, I mean, because technically Levante David's never been – I think the only year he's been a part of a top 10 defense was in 2015. And I mean, this is a team game, obviously. But I think once this team gets in the playoffs and he can really get that top 10 type defense, and then he gets those Pro Bowl selections and respect from the rest of the league, then that pushes him into that Hall of Fame echelon. Because unfortunately, obviously, he's been disrespected his entire career. He gets snubbed from the Pro Bowl every year.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, Liam Mitchell, go ahead and promote yourself here live on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Come check me out on YouTube and Fan to Fan Network. I got all kinds of stuff on YouTube, posting a lot over there, a lot of historical videos. Going to be doing live streams here pretty soon. And then over at Fan to Fan Network, I'm a YouTube rep, do live streams of the games with our opposer for the week. This week I got the Bears, and then you can go check me out on the website, fantofannetwork.com, and see the articles I post over there, as well as links to more of my videos.
All right, there you go. Liam Mitchell of Fan to Fan Network. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web. All right.
Thanks, Peter. You have a great night, man.
All right, there you go. Good stuff there. And let's go ahead and go out to some of these comments. We'll read them, and then we'll get to Rick Hughes from the cheap seats. Don't be surprised. I'm thinking 38-17 Tampa. Who will step up now that Chris is hurt? Well, Chris has been hurt. It's been Scotty Miller. I mean, that's the answer. Scotty Miller stepped up yesterday. Scotty knew. I mean, you look at his statistics yesterday. Let me go ahead and look at him a little bit here. 5 catches for 83 yards. It's not bad. And another deep pass. Let's go out to Rick Hughes. Rick, welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television from the cheap seats. And Bucs win, but you would think, looking on YouTube and looking on the cesspool of what we call Twitter, that the Bucs lost. Do you make any sense of this?
No, it makes no sense. Look, this is exactly what you bargained for when you got Tom Brady. A bad game, you still win. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what you bargained for. It's not sexy and exciting. It's not a roller coaster. It's not, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I don't know about you, Peter, but when they were down 21-7, I was saying, it's okay. It's all right. Don't panic yet.
I mean, look, when they were down 24-7 and Anthony Lynn decides to run the ball for some inexplicable reason instead of kneeling on it, and the Bucs get to turn over the short field and then get a quick touchdown on Mike Evans, I said, okay, ball game. Here we go. Second half. Here comes Brady in the offense. I had no doubt.
And I saw whatever that show Stephen A. Smith is on. I don't remember, but one of the guys on there was talking and it was going on and on. What's that?
First Take.
Yeah, First Take. They were going on about, one of the guys was talking about how Brady is just not what he used to be, and he's 20th ranked when it comes to QBR, and all that, and it just made me laugh. Tom Brady is ranked 20th according to the quarterback rating. What kind of a ridiculous statistic is this? I mean, what is it? I mean, is it how you pass when the wind blows on a game that I don't know, if you're east of the Mississippi, the wind's blowing from the northwest, you get certain points. I don't know how this whole thing works. But are you kidding me? 20th? I mean, he's playing lights out. I don't get it. I don't know how quarterback rating is figured. I mean,
well, he had the pick six, and of course, everybody was making a big deal about that. I mean, I feel like they should throw that play out of the playbook. Al Keck feels
yes, they should.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Watson rounded off his route, and a lot of people were blaming Brady, and he's going to get blamed for it. But then after that, 30 for 46, 369, 5 touchdowns. I don't know what you want.
I mean, here's the thing. You can point out the pick six.
Right.
And that's fair. But here's the thing. It was not coupled with any other interceptions. It was not coupled with a bunch of other problems. Let's do the math. I'm going to bring up the W word. I'm sorry, Peter. I'm going to bring it up, but it's part of the equation when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
How many interceptions did Winston throw last year?
30.
How many touchdowns?
33.
Almost equal. Brady threw 1 interception, which was a pick six, and 5 touchdowns.
Right.
Okay. Now, listen, I was never really good at math. Okay. But to me, 5-1 is not really equal.
No, it's not equal, especially when those 5 equals 6 points, and we're on with Rick Hughes from the cheap seats. Eric says Brady elevates the entire team around him, even when he makes the Big Six. We all still know what he's capable of, and ultimately what we all knew he was going to do, come back. Jason says that was Max Better or Max Kellerman at boxing, but is not a fan. Aside stats, guys, COVID-19 dome complex. Any thoughts? Are they going to do a bubble? Because I saw this story today where if there's another outbreak, the NFL could consider a bubble. First and foremost, why does it take another outbreak for the NFL to do a bubble? And second, would the players?
That's a great question, Peter.
I mean, let's wait until we get another outbreak. You know what? Wait till you get 3 or 4 outbreaks and then you end the freaking season. Why does it have to take another outbreak? Why not try to do it now? And can they get the Players Association and the players to agree to this?
That I guess the Players Association is the answer to your question about why wait. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a funny question. I mean, it really is a funny question. I think, look, there are going to be. Now, listen, I've been the guy all along saying season's going to start on time. We're going to have a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Look, I think this is going to get worse as the year goes along. I think as it gets later in the year, as flu season starts, I think it's going to get worse. And I think they better be getting ready for that now. The thing that I laugh about with the NFL to this point is it seems like they've been just sort of covering their eyes, plugging their ears, sticking their fingers in their ears, and just, remember when you were a little kid and you would stick your fingers in the ears and say, I'm not listening to you. Right. I'm not listening to you. And then, that sort of thing. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. That's like the NFL is just pretending that this is not an issue. And it's not, look, as far as for the country goes, now I am not a doom predictor here. I think that medically they've learned how to deal with COVID much better. I don't think it's the same thing it was a year ago or 6 months ago, whatever. I think that it's something that medically there have been advances and discoveries, and they've learned how to deal with it better. Sure. Having said that, you can't just pretend it doesn't exist.
No, you can't. It's not going to go away unless you have some vaccination at that point, and we're a little ways away from that. Just imagine if Brady had all his weapons in a whole game. I agree. I mean, he hasn't had that. That's the amazing thing.
But this is Brady. This is exactly what happens. This is what you got. See, this is what you bargained for. You've got a team that can have adversity and overcome it like a champion.
Yeah.
Because the leader is a champion. This is a champion mentality. This is what it's all about. You don't miss a beat. Did you see Brady's Instagram post today, or Twitter or Facebook, whatever it was? He's ready to go for Chicago on Thursday.
Yep.
Okay. He's not saying, oh, it's going to be tough. They're a great opponent. He's not, he'll say that when he has to, right? He'll say all the right things, but he's saying, let's go get them, boys. Let's go. And that you've got somebody who's already focused. You know what? Yesterday, that was a long time ago. We got Thursday coming. And that's the mentality that this team has lacked. It's so exciting. It's so refreshing. It's so, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. These idiots on freaking Twitter and on Facebook and on all of I don't know what the heck the problem is. It's, it's this. It's they took a side in the Winston, non-Winston thing.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what happens now, they're going to find a way to make it as though, see, they should have kept Winston.
Hey, I told you.
They're 3-1. The team is 3-1. The team is leading the division.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a situation you have not seen previously in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So buckle up, everybody. Quit your I'm gonna say complaining. That's not what I want to say. Quit your complaining.
Right.
Okay.
Quit your bitching.
Thank you. And the bottom line is what you have is a team with championship character. So get on board, have some fun, join everybody else in the cheap seats, and start having a good time with this whole thing. You know, you're sitting here, you're on the sports web, you've got the ability to talk about a team that is exciting and fun and is winning. Okay, you have all of these things. Come on.
And they stay silent. They stay silent. And upset. It's amazing. We're on with Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats here. Go ahead and tell everybody about your new show from the Cheap Seats here on Sunday night at 9 o'clock.
Well, we're in the new studios, and I now have everything working. Last night I had some technical issues. But we are in some brand new studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. But we are here for Bucs Talk, as you can see. Come join us in the Cheap Seats on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock. And we're going to talk football. We're going to talk Bucs. We're going to talk the game that's on that night. We're going to have a good time. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty simple. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone line. Let's go out to Mr. Johnny Dean, the 320 Solar Hotline. Johnny Dean, you're on with yours truly, along with Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. What's on your mind?
I kind of feel bad now after Rick just was talking about the Bucs. We want to talk about the Bucs and stuff. And what I really wanted to talk about was how you and I, Peter, told those guys that the Texans were horrible.
Yep.
And they yelled at us.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep. I remember Andrew Fulbert, and he contacted me today. He's like, you were right about that. And I said, I know, because you get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and Bill O'Brien basically is flexing his power. And if it doesn't work out, and look, the Texans, the NFL did them no favors with the schedule they were given, but still, to blow the lead yesterday versus the Vikings was—
He got fired today, didn't he?
Yeah, he got fired today. He was done. So I wasn't surprised by it. And again, the move when you trade Hopkins for basically David Johnson and a can of peanuts and basically get nothing in return.
I'm not sure they got peanuts. I think they actually gave up peanuts.
Well, right, exactly. They got nothing out of the deal. And I remember people saying, oh, see, look what they did that first drive versus the Chiefs. And then after that, nothing, not a damn thing. So,
yeah, Andrew's in hiding. I had to message him. He wouldn't message me.
Oh, yeah, he messaged me. And he even tweeted it out because Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times was saying, oh, who thought that Bill O'Brien was going to be fired in their head coaching firing pool? And he said, that was my man, Peter Blake, a Bucs report. So I appreciate that, Andrew, the big board out of Canada. So he definitely, I wonder Dan Quinn is next. How is this game going?
It's got to be. I mean, last I saw it was not close.
It was like 27-16 the last time I checked.
Falcons just scored. So it's I think it's a 10-point game or something.
Oh, yeah.
Really.
It's 30-16.
Oh, 30-16. All right, there you go. Somewhat respectable. By the way, they update the Rays score. The Yankees have blown it wide open. It was 4-3. Now it is 9-3. So not good news if you're a Rays fan, but only game one, the best out of 5 series. So the pressure is on the Rays here the next couple games.
Isn't losing game one sort of a Tampa thing to do?
It's always a Tampa thing to do.
Isn't that? I mean, the Lightning did it in most of the series.
Well,
what happened there?
Right, the Lightning did it, but the Rays, when they get to that situation, they were 8-2 versus the Yankees, but it really doesn't mean anything. It's postseason now. What else, Johnny Dean?
Well, one thing I just noticed was Aaron Rodgers is limping, but the other thing was, hold on, my brain cells are kicking.
That's all right.
Oh man, there it went. I saw Rodgers limping and forgot what I was saying, man.
Well, you seen Rodgers limping, and that's not a good thing because he could be considered as one of the great quarterbacks in the league, and the Packers lose him. Once again, that goes in.
That's our future quarterback.
That's my line, Rick.
You shut up about future. We may have Brady for the next 5 years the way he's.
Hey, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, so that was totally a joke.
Well, I know it's a joke, and I tell you right now, the Bucs may get another break here because if he goes out with an injury, That's your next matchup. I mean, it's all fallen, and
It's crazy.
it's all fallen into the Bucs' favor with Melvin Ingram the third being out yesterday, with all the injuries the Chargers had, with all the injuries the Broncos have had, with all the injuries that the Saints had to a certain degree.
Eckler went down, but the thing is, at the same time, no Godwin, losing OJ Howard.
Yep.
And let me point out something, and I don't think people realize this. This is what Tom Brady does.
Mm-hmm.
Year in and year out. He doesn't throw to one guy over and over and over and over. It's not, or two guys even. That's not how Brady works. He threw 5 touchdown passes to 5 different people.
First time in his career, by the way.
Well, but the point is that he's not a. I don't think there's even the tiniest bit of, oh no, I may not have, Chris Godwin this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if Evans and Godwin were out, Brady would shrug and go, okay, let's get out there and work a little harder, Watson and Miller. I mean, that just seems like his mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he will definitely do that. But Rick, he's also had one steady workhorse on his team. Like Evans, 111 yards yesterday. That was his workhorse.
Yeah.
Okay, he can afford to go to these other guys like that when they.
Yesterday, that was his work. That was his workhorse. Yesterday, that was his workhorse. Okay, in the first games, that's Evans' first 100-yard game, if I'm correct. I mean, so it's not. I mean, Scotty Miller's gone over 100 yards in a game.
Not Evans' first game. I think Evans went over. Didn't he go over 100 yards another game against the Panthers?
Second game.
Yeah, Panthers. Okay. So, but he's right about the running game. When you're getting that running game, you force once again the defense to be accountable, and it opens up your whole playbook. So,
Keyshawn Vaughn.
Yeah.
That guy's got some hands on him.
Yep.
I mean, that guy, you know what makes me think of a year or two? Marshall Falk.
Well, that's what who was saying. Johnny, were you saying that?
I said that earlier.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah, good call.
They look very similar. I'm not about to say he's the next Marshall Falk, but he definitely looked good.
Yeah.
That 9-yard touchdown yesterday and his limited opportunities that he got.
And he caught another pass, and I mean, almost caught another one that was poorly thrown. And I mean, I think he's going to be a weapon coming out of the backfield catching passes, because Rojo certainly couldn't catch yesterday.
No, that's the one I would say that was wrong with his game. The victim of volume had 20 carries for 111 yards, but definitely needs to work on.
I'm sorry. I'm going to start calling him the victim of little hands or something.
Nah, the victim of butter hands, or a victim of stone hands.
Victim of butter.
Stone hands Harper. That's what reminds me of Alvin Harper. He throws to Alvin Harper in the
hands of stone.
Awesome.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Appreciate you. There you go. Johnny Dean, open phone line 727-255-0391. 727-255-0391. Let's go back out to the webheads here. Chill Will says Wirfs held up against Bosa. He did. Was Wirfs drafted to be a future left tackle? That's a great question. LFG, you know what that means. Dan Quinn is next. Rodgers is limping off the field. 13. Laughed my ass off. Jason says, guys, thanks for sharing. I agree. Killer instinct. Love that Brady is not content with just a win, but bury them in fire. Our cannons, guys. Accountability is everything. Love Brady educating our young guys on timing and continue routes. Can we throw away that little swing pass and go to a roundabout, please? Love the show, fellas. Appreciate you, Jason. Thank you. He chose Tampa because he had the weapons and he never had in New England. And it looks like an ankle or an Achilles. And if that's true for Aaron Rodgers, if it's an ankle or an Achilles, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit with OJ Howard going out with a ruptured Achilles tendon, then the Packers are in big trouble. What do you think of the impact of Howard being out for the season? Because you look at that game, it started to look like they were trying to get him more involved. And when they were getting him more involved, especially that seam route, I looked at Blake Anthony and I was like, that looked like Rob Gronkowski right there. That's what you got, OJ Howard. And then he goes out with injury. What's the impact on this team.
Well, here was the thing. Every team loses people throughout the year. I don't care who you are. Every team's going to lose somebody because of injury. Now, if you had to say on this team, if you had to say what position is there the greatest depth?
Mm-hmm.
Tight end.
Tight end.
If you're going to have season-ending injuries, and everybody does, and this is going to sound weird, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here when I say they caught a break, that it was at a position of depth. I'm not saying it's no big deal. I'm not saying it's no problem that it's OJ Howard. I think OJ Howard was having a great year, but Cam Brake can come in and fill that spot. You've got more depth. I think you're looking at, you were saying it earlier, we've talked about it. The chips just keep falling just right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and to sit here and say that when I'm talking about an injury to OJ Howard, please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. The guy was performing better than he has probably in any previous season. So, what's also fun about this is, and this is again, I'm approaching this from a backwards sort of point of view, but let me say this: when next year starts, look, Brady's got a weapon back that he doesn't have right now. And it's adding to things. It's helping improve the way everything's going to go. This is not a 1-year project. No. I know you like to say Super Bowl or bust, but this is not a 1-year deal. And OJ Howard will be back. So look, this team looks like it's getting better week by week by week. The Saints don't look like they're the Saints that everybody was talking about. That's one of the few things I got right this offseason. And in as far as my hot takes, I also said Atlanta I thought was going to have a better year. Oops.
And I think Matt Ryan just threw an interception. So Green Bay's got back the ball. So most likely it's curtains for the Falcons. They're going to go 0-4. Does Dan Quinn get fired?
No, that's not how Arthur Blank does business. And who are you going to put in there? I mean, if the problem is defense, you can't put Raheem in there. You're going to put Dirk in there. I don't think there's any. Look at what the offense did today. I just don't see it happening. I think they ride it out, deal with it for the rest of the year. I will be very surprised. Arthur Blank is not the type to fire somebody mid-season.
All right, let's go out to Eric Echo. Okay, we read that. I read that one. Guys, last thought, do you retain Leftwich and Bowles, or are they going to get a head coaching job? Good question, because, look, if this team continues on this track of where they're improving on both sides of the ball, you would have to think that Todd Bowles would definitely get a call from somebody, and also Byron Leftwich, because he could be the hot young name. I just don't understand why Eric Bieniemy hasn't got a head coaching job, especially when you have coaches like a Bill O'Brien. To be fair to O'Brien, he has led the Texans to the playoffs. They haven't been able to win many games, but he's not a great general manager. But Adam Gase has no business being a coach in this league anymore. Not a head.
I am terrified that they're going to lose Bowles. I think they can handle. Look, I hope Leftwich gets the job somewhere else, because I don't want him to end up getting the job here. So, if he gets the job somewhere else, okay. Now Bowles had the job with the Jets, didn't he?
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about losing Bowles to the Jets.
I mean, you go back to the Jets. That's a terrible job. It's an awful job. I mean, look, they have picks and Sam Darnold, and I'm going to give credit to where credit is due. I thought Sam Darnold played his ass off the other night. I just don't think he got any help. Yeah. And the defense can stop nobody.
I just really, I am terrified if they lose. If they lose Bowles, I think it's a problem. If they lose Leftwich, honestly, maybe I'm happy about that. But
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Right.
Let's see here. More stuff. The team's greatest depth is at linebacker, says Johnny Dean. Rodgers just ran for a first down, so I guess he's okay. A yard short. Bowles has already said he's not interested in being a head coach at the end of last season. That
Let's
could
hope he keeps that up.
right, depending on the job opportunity. But you have to think
Right.
Byron Leftwich has, whether he has Tom Brady or not, they're still going to take into account that he's a hot young coaching name who's played quarterback in the league. Rick was worst drafted to be a left tackle. I don't think he was drafted to be a left tackle. I think they want to keep him at right tackle. But to answer your question, Chilwell, because you keep on asking this question,
He's obviously trying to get somebody to agree with what he thinks.
right?
Look, here's the thing. He's a right tackle right now. They have him in the position as right tackle. I think he's a in case of emergency break glass left tackle. But the bottom line is I think that there's got to be a better solution out there. And okay, I'll say it. Donovan Smith had a good game. A good game.
Right.
One good game. Okay, everybody. One good game.
Well, I think he played. I think he played somewhat better versus Carolina compared to the effort.
Well, no crap, Sherlock. I mean, what was he going to play as bad as he did the first game? He wasn't going to play worse.
It is 2020. You never know these days.
There was no way he was going to play worse than he did that first game. I mean, he barely showed up on the field. I mean, he barely even he was barely a body in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the worst games I've seen out of any player ever.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I saw the effort versus Denver on one play, and I was willing to throw whatever I had at that point through the throw my cell phone through the TV because of that. So. Again, to answer your question, I do not think he was drafted as a left tackle. I think he was drafted as a right tackle, but they could switch positions if it doesn't necessarily work out for Donovan.
Break glass in case of emergency.
That's it. Leftwich isn't head coaching material. You agree?
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm not even. Look, I know he's Bruce Arians' pet project, but
does Jacksonville make sense? I mean, he was a former Jacksonville Jaguar quarterback.
I like that idea. I'm a fan of that idea. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, and then who's going to call the plays?
Well, that'll be.
Wonder who we have that could take on that responsibility.
Well, if you lose Byron Leftwich, most likely you'll either be Bruce Arians will call the plays or Clyde Christensen could call the plays. Yeah.
What do you know about that?
Yeah, there you go. Colter Leftwich will be the next coach of the Bucs that Bruce steps down.
Yes, please be Bowles.
Could be Bowles. And it could be Bowles as a head coach, and Byron may want to stay here and be an offensive coordinator. Everybody assumes that he's just going to go to greener pastures or something.
Right.
Maybe
I don't know that he's ready yet. It's going to take a couple more years.
It may.
If Bieniemy does, let me say this: if he gets a head coaching job before Bieniemy, there's something we don't know about Bieniemy.
Well, I've heard his interviews are not very good, and that's what they take into account. If he's not interviewing very well, then I don't know what it is. But
what's he doing?
Right
when you've got that kind of a track record, what are you doing?
Yeah,
in an interview. I mean, how do you blow that?
What are you showing up in like sandals and a tank top? I mean, what are you doing? All right, let's go on to Johnny Dean. Johnny Dean, make some sense of this Eric Bieniemy. Why hasn't he gotten a job yet in the NFL?
That I have no. That's just honestly, I think that's just he's being blackballed or something. Somebody don't like what he's doing.
Well, I think you're partly right.
And he should already had a head coaching job.
Can I go ahead and broach this subject?
Go for it.
I'm not sure that he's been blackballed, but I think it might be the fact that he's black. I mean, I think say it however you want to say it, however you want to say it, dance around it, however you want to dance around it. But I think all things being equal, I think that owners who are rich white guys, for the most part, are just more comfortable. I think if there's two guys that are interviewing fairly equally, which one are they gonna hire? The one that they're more comfortable with, the one that's most like them and their cronies, and them and their buddies that they hang out with.
Which is why it makes no sense for Adam Gase to have a job, and that's why the Jets are a god awful organization. Because they're
Great. That's a great example. How did he get a job when he sucked at the first one and he can't even let Bieniemy in? So
no problem. Don't worry. Naked pictures of somebody who knows. I don't understand it how guys like Adam Gase get a job. People will look at Bieniemy and say, well, he's a product of Andy Reid. It's because of Pat Mahomes, but he had some play in that. And you look at the offense right now that's predominantly number one in the NFL. Don't you want to get the guy that's a part of that type of offense to build or be able to develop your next quarterback?
Do you know where he's a great fit? Do you know where he would be a perfect fit?
Where?
Would be the Falcons.
Probably right.
That's a good fit.
If he isn't the first coach hired this year, somebody should say something. That'll be ridiculous. He should be the first head coach hired this year.
Yeah, if he's not, there's a reason. There's something that we don't know.
Well, again,
or that's obvious.
Right. Well, we don't know. We know.
I mean, if they were to hire Leftwich or whatever, before they hired Bieniemy, we would know something's going on. I mean, what's he showing up to the interviews drunk? I mean, what? I mean, we don't know. There's got to be something behind the scenes. There's got to be something going on if they're hiring people like Leftwich before they give Bieniemy a shot.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, what else, Johnny Dean?
I was actually calling in to ask Rick, what's all this? Not just Rick. It's not just Rick. So let me get off Rick there for a second. But what is all this hate for Byron Leftwich? Byron Leftwich is learning under two of the greatest coaches there are, Tom Brady and Bruce Arians.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, look, he asked questions. I don't understand it either. There's a lot of
not hate. It's not hate. It's not. I don't hate Byron. I don't hate Byron Leftwich. I just don't want to right now when Peter's crying Super Bowl or bust. When this Tom Brady's coming to the end of his career, I don't want to be doing on the job training with an offensive coordinator. Great, he's learning under two of the best head coaches. Awesome, we're training him. That's great, but right now is not time to be training.
Well, he also trained under,
Mike Tomlin to Pittsburgh.
Thank you. You read my mind.
Yep.
Mike Tomlin. And they liked him as a quarterback's coach there, too.
Sure they did.
So
I mean, and look, look at the resume.
Like he just stepped off the bus.
Resume speaks for itself. He's been a quarterback in the league. People appreciate that. If he goes and interviews for a job and he has the charisma, more charisma than Eric Bieniemy, I could certainly see him getting a job if somebody sees what he did with the Bucs. Now, what you have to caution yourself against is that because of his play calling? Is that because of Tom Brady? And
what happened last year?
Right. Well, good third-ranked offense in the NFL. Is that all on him?
It depends on which stats you're looking at, though. Yeah, the way rankings are done. Sure. Okay, sure, but didn't make the playoffs. Didn't really come close to the playoffs. I mean, there's a whole lot you can look at. Wow, he threw for a lot of yards. I agree with that.
Right. Productive offense. I mean, if he has a productive offense this year and they go to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl, I definitely think he's going to be one of those candidates that you're going to definitely take a look at. Yeah. I'd be surprised that the Jaguars. Not only is it a fit because he's been there and it's a sentimental, it'll get fans interested, but also around the circles of the NFL. You look at it, top-ranked offense, you win a Super Bowl, or you're the hot name.
Why didn't Bieniemy go last year?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's the teams that look for him. I think he gets a head coaching job. If he doesn't, there should be some type of investigation.
Yeah. Bieniemy definitely will get a head coaching job.
The only thing I can think of is, like I said, if not, there's something something to the story that we don't know.
Well, I mean, how many jobs did Tony Dungy get passed up on? And what people were saying is, well, he didn't necessarily he had the charisma that we were looking for. He turned out to be a great head coach. In fact, what is a Hall of Fame coach?
Well, there are a lot of, but Peter, you know this in any job, any day job, any kind of any 9 to 5, any kind of a job, you can be well qualified and skilled, but if you suck at interviewing,
Yeah,
you know,
it's a big factor. It's a big factor. What else?
Dungy may have sucked at interviewing. Let's be honest. It doesn't mean he's not a good head coach, but he may have sucked at interviewing.
He may have.
He wasn't their first choice, was he?
Nope, definitely wasn't.
Let me leave this on one more thought. There is an assistant head coach on this team too, you know. So if Bruce Arians does step down, don't be surprised if it's a name that you haven't even heard of that replaces him.
Well, that kind of scares me though, because you don't really know what he can provide. You're being a assistant.
Who are you thinking, Johnny Dean?
Yeah, who are you thinking here?
I'm not even going to mention it. You guys will have to do your research.
Oh, come on. To figure out what's in your brain?
Cat out of the bag. Come on. Who is it?
Later, guys.
All right, there you go. Maybe Clyde Christensen.
He just chickened out.
Yeah, I don't know.
He just chickened out.
Jimmy, let's see here. I hate all the comparison to Tom Brady and Cam Newton and Jameis Winston. I think Belichick versus Brady is stupid. At the end of the day, Tom Brady is still going to be the GOAT. I agree with that. I agree. Let's go out to Blake Anthony. Blake Anthony, welcome to the Evolution.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? What do you think about Johnny, what he had to say about Eric Bieniemy and Byron Leftwich being ready to be a coach and somebody on this coaching staff that could be an eventual coach? Who do you think it is?
Well, I'll answer that, but I wanted to go into more details on Bieniemy. I mean, I think from what Arian says, he really wants Byron to be the next head coach. From how Arians has speaked and groomed Byron Leftwich, but I don't know if he doesn't really want him to be that. But that's the way it seems. And as I said earlier, Bowles already said he's not interested in becoming another head coach. I think he likes being a defensive coordinator. It's a lot less stress, and frankly, that's what he's good at doing. Just being a defensive coordinator.
I agree. There's just some like Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips for so many years was a head coach, not very good, but as a defensive coordinator, fantastic.
Monty Kiffin.
Yeah, Monty Kiffin.
You know, he never wanted the
pressure because it's different.
Yeah. It's too much added responsibility, and when you're a head coach, you're like a general manager of a store, and you got to manage your department.
Yeah.
When you lose, and you focus on the meat department when you got to do the other departments as well. But I really get on the Eric Bieniemy to piggyback on what Rick said, because I really respect what Rick said, saying that a lot of people won't say what Rick said on the air. And I respect that, so I kind of had to chime in on that to add information that I hold that is factual kind of to that stuff from a person that I know that's been around in the league as a wide receiver and has known Eric Bieniemy and those guys. What he told me, and what Eric Bieniemy told him in those interviews, Eric Bieniemy is giving the standard interview protocol, and these interviewees or interviewers are literally looking at their cell phones and things like that and not really paying attention to his presentation. Bieniemy wasn't really getting a fair shot at these jobs, and they technically already had in their mind of the guy they wanted to hire. They just have to interview black coaches.
Makes sense. Makes lots of sense. That's a shame too. That's a big time shame. So I think he gets a job eventually. I do. I think he'll get a job, and I think the Jets should be the first call that they make if they want to develop a quarterback and a Sam Darnold. You see the development of a Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's necessarily.
How old is Andy Reid?
Andy Reid's up there, so that may be a good thing where he doesn't take the job. Maybe he takes over for Andy.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if that couldn't be if they couldn't start working that as a plan.
Well,
I mean,
Josh McDaniels, the reason why he didn't leave is because he wanted to take over for Belichick.
Correct.
Right.
But
Belichick's wishing that happened about 2 weeks ago.
Josh McDaniels' agent hit him up and said, that was the worst mistake of your career, to get technically hired for a head coaching job and then pull out at the last because nobody else is going to hire you after that. The only reason you would do that is that you were already the heir to Bill Belichick, because that would be the bad career move to do that, to pull out and just go back to where you just came from. But on the Andy Reid thing, what I thought Andy Reid would become the GM or hire in the office and let the enemy take over too. That's a possibility as well. You guys brought up a good point.
Yeah, no, definitely good stuff. Blake, anything else?
No, that's it. I just wanted to chime in on that. It was a good topic.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot. And of course, Sports Talk 49, which can be seen here on Bucs Report on Monday and Fridays at 3:00. And we won't have you on Thursday night, but I think you'll be able to send me a the winning edge or the winning angle?
Oh, the winning angle. Yeah, I'll be on Thursday at 3 because I'm on Friday.
Right.
The game's Thursday, so I have that, and I'll send that info out to you.
All right, man. Sounds good. There you go, Mr. Blake Anthony. Thanks a lot for joining me here on The Evolution. All right?
Always. Have a good night, guys.
All right, buddy. There you go.
Night.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Why is Dan Quinn still employed? Looks like the Falcons are now 0-4, so inquiring minds want to know. And let's be honest, it's because he looks like a giant Gary Coleman. Only jokes. I think that is for, I don't know.
Yeah, he's talking about
I don't know.
Leftwich. Wow, Eric is very white. Eric White. Tell me that's not just irony. I mean, come on.
I was joking around, so I'll give it. I'll go with the jokes. That's fine. All right, Rick, go ahead and promote from the cheap seats.
Well, From the Cheap Seats is Sunday nights at 9:00, and coming up, I believe on the 13th, a week from tomorrow, is going to be the first episode at 9:00. The first episode of What's Cooking in the South, and that's a fun sort of a panel show where we have somebody from each of the cities in the NFC South, and we talk about the NFC South, and there's a little food element thrown in there that you'll see.
Nice. Sounds good. I'm already hungry. Let's go ahead and go out to Daryl Floyd. What is going on with Mike McCarthy? He's killing the Cowboys. He's 100% murdered. Green Bay, and I didn't know about the facts from the past. Wow. So not a big time fan of McCarthy. I mean, will the Cowboys turn?
They're 1-3 leading the division.
Yeah,
I mean, they're remember when that was the division to fear? They're 1-3 and they're in first place.
What a joke. What a joke.
You could win next week and still not be 500 and be in the lead in your division. You could win 2 weeks in a row and then you'll be 500.
Yeah.
And then ahead of your division. So come on. I mean, really? Wow.
All right, Rick, let me get you out of here. Thanks a lot for coming on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right.
Yeah. You have a great night.
All right, good stuff there from Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. Thanks to him. Thanks to the Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Al Keck. 40 years of sports broadcasting experience, WTSP Channel 10, WFTS Channel 28. Of course, Leo Haggerty, the legend himself, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions. And also we had Liam Mitchell of the Fan Network. On Wednesday, of course, we will have Ricky Reynolds getting you ready for Bucs versus the Bears. We will be here also on Thursday night, live from the deck, bar and grill. Of course, the Sports Web, the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com. Join the 66,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and that Bucs Report Twitch channel hopefully has more than one view tonight. Do 3 things for me early on this Tuesday morning. Write them down. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a good night, and we'll see you on Wednesday night here on the Sports Web live on Bucs Report. See you later. The Evolution. Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs report. It's the Sports Lab. I'm your host, Peter White, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet?
Power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up. Going solar with 320 may cost you nothing down. But the work we do is not a $0 job. With a 10-year roof penetration warranty and solar panels guaranteed for 25 years, you can have peace of mind knowing we will do the job right every time without question. .320 Solar. Power up.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
Feels great to be 3-1 in front of the home crowd today. Got to keep it going. We got a short week on Thursday in Chicago. Got to get to 4-1. Let's go.
That's right.